Why are we called Negroes? Why are we deaf, dumb, and blind? Why is everybody making progress, yet we seem to be lagging so far behind? Why are we mistreated? Why are we in this condition, stripped of our name, our language, our culture, our God, and our religion? Here in America, all of our religious training has been gotten by the preacher. He has told us of a heaven way up in the sky that we can't enjoy now, but rather after we die. But all of the years that we're living, for us there's nothing but hell, pain, torture, and misgiving. Yet the Bible speaks of a heaven filled with material luxury, which the white man and the preacher has right here, so we see. So my friend, take it for what it's worth. Your heaven and your hell is right here on this earth. So let's check back into history, which rewards all research and tells us plainly that before the white man gained entry to the East, he was living in the caves of Europe, a ravenous beast, eating juniper roots and eating flesh raw, till God sent Moses to civilize him and teach him the law. Then, following Marco Polo, an explorer, he gained entry into Asia and Africa. From China, he took silk and gunpowder. From India, he took jute, manganese, and rubber. He raped Africa of her diamonds and her gold. From the Mideast, he took barrels of oil untold, raping, robbing, and murdering everything in his path. The whole black world has tasted of the white man's wrath. So, my friend, it's not hard to tell. A white man's heaven is a black man's hell. America, we were living in the East. By the Nile River, we were living in luxury, enjoying freedom, justice, and equality. We wore silken robes and slippers of gold. We were the wealthiest and the wisest people, I'm told. Now we are the poorest of the poor. Nobody wants us at their door. So, my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven is black man hell. When the white man came to America, he told the Indian, I am your white brother. He said, red man, I'll treat you the best. Yet and still he pushed the Indian further west with his white woman and firewater. Tricks and lies, he stole America. The original owner of this nation is cooped up on a reservation. So, my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven, black man hell. He needed someone to work the land. His back was too weak. He needed you, black man, so he commissioned Sir John Hawkins to commit the world's most grievous sin, to take a man who's born to be free and bring him down to slavery, to sell a man as merchandise. On his body put a price. Oh, my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven is a black man hell.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of the Zamal Tamaray Show. You see the title, Real Wealth Comes from Mother Nature. And when he told me this title, I said to myself, I know it's going to be good. So let's not waste any more time. Welcome everybody here to the show tonight. And I'm just so glad everybody joined in. And I know more of us will file in. And we're just going to keep the shows moving and keep it going. I see Ella G. Well, we just have to play briefly the theme from Ella G. Everybody give Ella G some cyber hugs and much love. Type it in. And just like the other song, we got to play that game to figure out what the words are to that song, because, you know, those are some muffled words, but I love the song. Much love to Ella G. Brother Zamal Tamaray, welcome to the show. You always light it up. Your name alone is worth so much energy. When they don't even care to know what the topic is. When they see Zamal Tamaray, they're coming. That's the way it is. Welcome, brother. Okay, did I have a malfunction here? No, everything's open.
We're good. We're good.
Okay.
Greetings to the family.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No.
I had you on mute.
Yeah, no, you just flew.
Had you on mute.
No, you had your cape on and you flew through the roof. You just finished saving the world somewhere. You got.
No, I had you on mute, and I didn't want to.
No, I understand.
Have any type of background noise, you know.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
But yeah, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to disseminate another message to the family. I'm glad you guys are here. Greetings, welcome, shalom, assalamu alaikum, whatever your religious persuasion. It doesn't matter to me. People are people. I respect people for what they are, not what they accepted. And that title that I just wanted to, tonight I wanted to have some lighter fare. I know that you guys have had some pretty powerful shows. I think I heard a part of the show the other night where there was a brother that was on the show that was talking about, pretty religious brother, but bottom line, he sounded like, from the essence at his core, he sounded like a very a beautiful person on the inside. Right. Just he was. I would refer to him as a sandwich, not a sandwich, but a sandwich, because a sandwich is something that has is two pieces of bread with a piece of meat on the inside, or some filler material on the inside. And I will refer to him as a sandwich, not in a derogatory way, but in the sense that he has part information or part misinformation and part information. And so he's in between, and in between the misinformation, he's like just caught up in the middle. Right. So, but a good brother, and definitely somebody who could be an asset or a part of the team. Just get caught up along the way, like all of us have. Yes. So and I know some people had some really some interesting things to say to him, but and for many people it was probably they didn't have the patience. But we have to be patient with people. We can't beat people up. especially if they're going to be a part of our team, because that can alienate them in the long run. And you don't want them to go back to where are they going to go? Basically, are they going to be in limbo and go back to the enemy, or they can't go to the enemy because the enemy has nothing for them? You know, what are they going to be like, Reverend Al Sharpton, and try to play both sides? And in the final, you know, when the deal goes down, is he going to be in limbo, or is he? Where do you think he's going to be? Right. You know, so. But he's proven himself to be a traitor anyway, so I'm not talking about people like him. But like I said, I'm glad to be here. The statement that I made, or the statement or the title that I came up with for this, Real Wealth Comes from Mother Nature, proof. Real wealth comes from Mother Nature. I entitled it that way because a lot of people say things, and everybody has their own style and their own way of doing things, and I have my way of doing things, and no one person can appeal to everybody or to everyone. So that's why we have diversity. That's why we have different persuasions. That's why we have different types of people. You know, people that I might be able to work with, other people may not be able to work with. So, you know, and, you know, it just works. And people that you work with, maybe they may be more inclined to listen to something you say versus what I say. So it's really important for us to have many different voices. And you definitely don't want to play the game of putting all your eggs in one basket, especially in the revolutionary struggle we're in today, because that doesn't work. We did that before, and then we had our leaders picked off, and we had this the head, and then the body just was walking around like a chicken with no direction. So we don't need that to happen, and it makes it safer for us too, because for reasons that I just described. But so where was I? When I make a statement, I like to really back it up with, I don't like to make an empty statement. You know how some people say things and they can't really back it up? I say something, I like to back it up with what people call receipts. I like to have the physical receipts. If I can't give you a physical copy, I can tell you where to go get it. And by doing so, I can empower you to have the same information that I have, because we really have to be on the same page. And when you hoard information, it's not going to do you. The only good that it'll do would be for you to boost your ego. But other than that, I think the best indication of a good teacher, not to say I'm a good teacher or a great teacher even, but the best indication of a great teacher, I think, would be one that would empower those students or those disciples or whatever you want to call it, those people that are under his tutelage or her tutelage, to be greater than him, or even to have the same information as she or he, so that they can even supersede or go further than or farther than that teacher did. So the things I want to talk to you about nature, I think about this all the time. Like I said, this will be lighter fare. I know people have had probably a long week, people that are still working, a stressful week, and this will be something definitely, it'd be something just to calm them down and to relax them and to de-stress them from a long week, and a great way to kick off a weekend. So even though this is lighter fare, it's, you know, food, it's mental food that is of paramount importance. You may have heard some of these concepts before, and, you know, I'd like to deliver them, like I said, in my own signature manner. I like to approach things, you know, as you know, Lance, from more of a scientific, you know, direction. And that's just the way I do things.
That's right.
Yeah. Research and observation. So this will be a short talk, but I guarantee every person that is listening, every person that has ears to hear, that this will be a benefit to everyone in the listening audience, although I realize that not everyone will listen to it, because everyone is not aware of this increasingly popular show. You know, everyone doesn't know about the LANCESCURV show, but I'm doing my part to get the word out. I'm sure everybody else is as well. And it's just spreading like wildfire, and I'm pretty proud of the success that you've been experiencing. And then when I saw that you did that latest video, was that today? I saw a part of that, and I heard a part of it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have to bookmark this video because I want to hear the rest of it. So, but from what I heard, I was very proud and I like the way you represented the people
on the interview.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
There was a lady from the subcontinent, from India.
Yes. I don't think a lot of people saw that because I was trying to actually download it, and I did, and try to upload it on the channel. And when it was time to premiere, it never worked. And then when I tried to upload it completely, it was partial. Something was done to that video to stop me from doing it. But I'm going to do it on my channel. But what I'll do too, is for anybody who missed it, I'll drop the link inside, the chat room tonight so they can see it, because it didn't get many hits, and I think most people would enjoy it to a point.
I think they would, because it shows you more like I know you're internationally, you have international connections, but it really shows that you are really broadening your scope now. You have people from India interviewing you, so I think that's a milestone in the growth of the show.
Yeah, it's humbling. And like I told you earlier, and I want to share that, and we're talking about what you want to talk about tonight. I just want to interject that since you brought it up, that there may be people out there that don't understand that I never tone it down. I never tone my message down. And you didn't hear me do that. But I will adjust it and give it in baby bites to people who don't understand anything at all about our struggle. But never will I tone it down. One person said, "Oh man, you toned it down." You have to be shrewd. You can have the best chef in the world, but if he puts your food on a dirty hubcap and throws it at you, it's not a good experience. So you understand when dealing with the Indian market, a lot of these people have, and people say, "Well, we don't give a damn about them." I mean, I can say that too, but when you expose, if I get an interview and get exposed to a different market, that exposes you, brother Zamal. It exposes Carrie Lux. It exposes brother Kwaku. So you may get an interview in a different market. It exposes me. It exposes everything. So what we have to do is make sure that they understand, because there's a lot of propaganda put out there about us and against us that already has the minds of these people already formed in their opinion of us. So we have to break down decades and hundreds of years of propaganda, but decades and decades of stuff on television, movies, and social media. So while somebody, and I purposely put that little do-rag on my head so I can look a little more fearsome, but come through with a good message. Yes, I did. I did it. It was by design. That was by design. I wanted to be the scary guy looking, and then when I open my mouth, it's like, wait a second. This guy's not that scary guy who's going to mug me. I said, wow, this guy's got humor, he's got manners, but he's not backing up off of his message. And I think that I think I did everything good, or did people proud,
Well, you did a good job, because just like if you're in sales, you have to mimic the people that you're selling to. If they're not as quick-witted as you can't speak quickly to a person that thinks slower than you.
Right.
If they talk fast, you want to talk fast. If they're animated, you have to be animated.
Exactly.
If they curse, you want to curse.
Exactly.
So, yeah, and you did. Yeah, they did a good job. In the final analysis, all of us are chameleons anyway, because this whole life that we live, even from a universal standpoint, not just here on if you're just looking at planetary affairs, but everything here on this planet deals with mutation, evolution, transmutation, transformation. And there's no change without pain or struggle or pressure. And if you think about that, think about the pressure that we're under. Think about the struggle that we've undergone and still continue to experience. And think about the pain that we're enduring right now. And think about the pain and the pressure and the struggle that goes into creating a diamond.
Yes.
So are we being turned into diamonds right now? So we may look at it as a negative. And yes, it is negative. But in order for anything to be created in this universe, you have to have the structure. And that's alchemy. That's the ultimate form of alchemy. So that mutation, evolution, transmutation, transformation, that's a part of nature in the grander scheme of things. But anyway, back to your show. Like I said, it would be nice if the whole world could hear your show. That's how important it is. And as you'll soon learn, what I'm about to relate to you guys can benefit every single life form on this planet, every single human life form on this planet, human or otherwise, that walks, crawls, or even creeps upon this what I call this powerhouse, this miracle, this illustrious miracle powerhouse called planet Earth. You know, so it's this talk is for a lot of different people. This talk is for people who think that everything African is bad and everything from the West is good, better, or superior in value, superior in type, or superior in quality. This conversation is also for folks, those fancy vehicle driving folks that have those high-priced built-in surveillance spy devices I call automobiles, because they do have spy devices on the inside, but you pay a pretty penny for them. And of course, there's nothing wrong with having a fancy car. You know, I've had fancy cars,
right? You
know, but it's important to keep things in perspective. And when you're a group of kidnappees that have been working, you know, just converted into human commodities, as we have been in this wilderness of North America, then you can lose sight of that. And we're seeing the aftershocks of that right now, manifested in the aberrant behavior of our people in so many different ways. But this is also for people, or for those who don't place a high value on the hidden treasures of Mother Nature. It could even be for those who don't know much about these things, but are intrigued and maybe want to know more. This could be for those of you who have been infected with the pernicious ideas of Black inferiority, you know, a mental disease contracted in a Eurocentric world, you know. This could also be for those bourgeois Negroes who love their quote-unquote modern amenities and that are married to their quote-unquote modern trinkets and toys. You know, I would put the word modern in quotes. I put the word modern in quotes for a reason, because I put it in quotes because modern, the word modern is not really what you've been taught the connotation of the word should be. You know, when you think of modern, you know, most of us, when we use the word modern, it's assumed to be something that's synonymous with progression, with advancement, with uplift. But nothing could be further from the truth. But as I said, already said, this is for those who are, I guess, married to so-called civilization and what they call modernity, you know, to so-called modern living, with all your so-called accoutrements of success and status, but is actually a world that's replete with moral bankruptcy, degenerative physical diseases, social dysfunction, social retardation, and just a general state of societal retrogression. So if I could be brutally honest, I would just characterize our current existence as one of, if I could use the term, it's kind of a contradictory term, or what they call an oxymoronic term. If I could use the term of civilized barbarism, that's what we have. That's how I would describe or characterize this society. And some people would say, well, how could you say such a thing, Brother Zamal? You know, when I have my high fashion wardrobe, I have my expensive Gucci bag, I have my, you know, those Coach purses that people like to have, that women, they love, they go crazy over. How can you say that when I have my wonderful iPhone, my indispensable Galaxy Android tablet, and my exotic electronic gadgets, and a plethora of other essential, what they consider essential highbrow toys and high-tech toys and amenities? Well, I'll tell you guys why in a little bit, if you guys will tarry with me just a little while longer. So I guess this dialogue, I would say, would be also for the shallow, superficial-minded, melanated ones who may be traded in nature's wealth, which is the real wealth, for phantom wealth, a phantom wealth that's denominated in mere dollars and cents. And in a sense, if they traded in that wealth, that means that they went to a dealership. They went to a Western dealership and traded in nature's wealth for a phantom wealth denominated in mere dollars and cents. So this is for also those Negroes and Negresses, if you want to say that will feel like they'll die if they don't get that latest pair of sneakers or that ridiculous set of car rims, you know, or if they can't get their hair straightened, if they, if not acquire the latest hair weave from someone of a foreign race because you hate your own natural crown. Well, this would be also for those of you who are well developed on the outside, I guess in the physical sense, but those who have been seduced by a crooked beast and I guess what you would probably call a global hooligan. It's seduced into thinking that embracing the bounty of nature is primitive, passé, boring, and even weird. Of course, I can't forget the other group, the scholarly group. This would be for those MDs and PhDs and master's degrees, for all those who think that they have reached the apex level of knowledge and learning in another man's world. And let me hastily add or inform you that if you didn't learn this in your superior or your august educational halls of learning, then you are sadly the inheritor of an educational deficiency, of an educational deficit. But bear in mind that you're not following a culture that's at its zenith, but you are really in the midst of one that's in the midst of a free fall and decline. Like MLK said about the burning house. Remember, he said that at the end of his life, he came to the realization that what he was doing was actually not beneficial for his people. He said that, and of course they don't talk about that much. They reflect on what they want to reflect on and give you the characterization of Malcolm as they would like you to remember him. But he said something along the lines of, I feared that I have led my people into a burning house, referring to America and the culture of America. So this is a culture that is in the midst of a free fall and decline, a culture with a high mortality rate, a short lifespan, that is, one that has barely existed for even 200 years. And is now witnessing a suicidal decline, a steep decline, a precipitous fall. And ultimately, it's moving toward a vainglorious end. So I suppose the information that I'm about to disseminate is really probably, it's an appeal most especially to the youth, because they will be the inheritors of the future. They will be the inheritors of this earth, and they need to know about the important gifts that have been provided to them and their vital role as future planetary stewards going forward, So that's who I was really thinking about. But this is really, like I mentioned earlier, this is something that everyone can benefit from, and you'll see in just a little bit. So this is what you really need to know about this planet. What do you need to know about this planet that you haven't learned in school? Well, I guarantee you that what I'm about to tell you, you never learned in school. And as I mentioned earlier, some of these things have been echoed by others that came on the show. They have a love for nature and they embrace Mother Nature just like I do. So I can't say that I have a greater love than they do, but we all say things in our own different way. But one thing you need to know about the planet is this. The Earth, the surface of the planet contains an abundant supply, or I guess an endless supply of what they call free electrons, or what they call free surface electricity. So to put another way, I could say that the Earth is laden with what they call negatively charged free electrons. And these electrons are also abundant in the seas of the planet Earth. And some people may say, well, so what? What does this have to do with me? This energy is always available to all living creatures as long as one's feet, flesh, or body is in direct contact with it. So basically, you need skin to earth contact. And we've talked about this. We've heard about this before. I've heard you talk about it, Lance. I've heard Quaco talk about it. I've heard your wife talk about it.
Yes.
I've heard Carrie Lux talk about it. But this power comes from our planetary battery. You can look upon this planet as a battery because it's constantly being charged, and it's constantly being charged by what they call solar radiation. It's also being charged by, according to the scientists, thousands of lightning strikes are striking this planet each minute, as well as other natural phenomena. So these are the types of things that are charging this battery, if you want to refer to the planet as a battery, which is really what it is. among other things. But there's a reason why our feet contain such a rich network of nerve endings, and those nerve endings are designed to connect to the earth. I remember a doctor, I don't remember his name. He had a weird name. Dr. Martin Rosick, I believe. He said that there are 1,300 nerve endings per square inch on the soles of our feet. And who knows whose feet he was examining. He probably wasn't even looking at our feet because, you know, when they look at medical things and they use themselves as a basis for comparison. So who knows, maybe we have even twice that number of nerve endings. But he said that there are 1,300 nerve endings per square inch on the soles of our feet. In short, there's a higher number of nerve endings on our feet or on the foot than any other body part. Now, I mentioned briefly about the negatively charged electrons on the Earth's surface, but there's also a set of particles that are positively charged. And most people, when they think positive, negative, oh, positive's good, negative's bad. Nope, not necessarily. Because as I mentioned before, positive, you need positive and negative charges to create a spark or the spark of life. No positive and negative charges, no life. Those opposing or those contending forces. So these positively charged particles are what they call free radicals. Everybody's heard of those things, right? You've heard of that, right? Lance, you know what free radicals are.
Yes.
We got a lot of scholars on this line right now. I know they know what free radicals are. Now, the Earth is now looked upon by the neuroscientists as the ultimate anti-inflammatory. And so why do you need to know this? Why is this even important? This is important because many people suffer from inflammation. And inflammation is now looked upon as caused by an electron deficiency. And this causes a host of ailments like jet lag. You know, when you went to Africa, you came back, how long did you have to sleep? Long time, right?
Oh, yeah. Plus, I came back with malaria and Lyme's disease, so that added on to it.
And malaria and Lyme's disease. Yep. And, yeah, you had everybody alarmed because I was watching this real time, and I was like, wow. And I had sent a small donation, and I'm like, I wonder why I'm not hearing back from this brother. And then I saw your thing, and I'm like, wow, he's sick.
I couldn't. Not to stop your flow, but I could, man. I was so, days went by, and I didn't even do a video. Just to show you how, just to say it again, which many people know, I came back at 240 pounds, and after a week and a half, I was 214, just laying down.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't eat, couldn't eat, sip a little coconut water, burned up, sweated. I was so out of it, almost died, man. I was doing number ones and twos on myself in the bed. I'm not ashamed to say that. I was out of here.
Wow.
Yeah, the doctor said that the way
you had a wife that took care of you through it all.
Yes, that I tanked like a plane flying with the nose going straight down to the earth, and maybe 100 feet, 200 feet before hitting the ground, it just pulled right on up and went straight back up and started flying again. He said he never saw nothing like that before in his life. I can't even take credit for it, so that's why right now I just go hard because I know I'm here for a reason. Because I knew I was dying. It was a relaxed feeling. It wasn't something like I was just so relaxed. It was like I was letting go. It was like when you lay down in the water on your back on a little floaties or something, and you just float. And I feel like I was floating on out here. And there was no internal really. I mean, when I was going to urinate, man, it was like it was a little blood coming out. But it wasn't blood, but it was syrup. It's like syrup, man. 35.
You were dying.
Yeah, and I was very relaxed about it. And I do know that over the headboard to my side, there was at night, it was a spiritual vision, a sight. I can't tell what, but I knew there was an open gaping opening, a portal for me to go through. And it was dark.
Wow.
I wasn't scared. It was almost like it was pleasant that if I went through it, I would have felt good. That's my reflections on it now. But go ahead, brother. Well, I'll talk about, if you want to ask me to do another show, I'll tell you all about it, man.
Well, I experienced something similar to that before. I never felt like I was going to die before until such time I had contracted a real bad case of the flu. And for the first time in my life, I felt the energy leaving my body.
Yeah.
Never felt that before. I always felt, strong and healthy, and never felt that before. Yeah. But that was, it came and it went.
Yeah.
It passed.
Oh, I stayed there for a long time. Once I took the the malaria medicine, still, it was coming at me so viciously that the doctor said that my bone marrow began to hollow out, that it had just it was eating me up. Yeah, that because even after I was well enough to move about, I still felt dizzy. I couldn't go out into the sun. Most of my days for the next 2 months was to get up, lay on one couch for a couple of hours, stare at the space, lay in another couch, and go into the other living room and lay on that couch. And by that time, Mrs. Scurv came home. The little food she would make for me, I didn't want it. I just didn't want it. Even after I began to get well, I would eat a little bit. And I'm telling you, pants that I had on normally and pants that I couldn't wear because I put on weight, I could put them on, leave it buttoned and zipped up, and pull them down without unbuckling them. That's how lean I got. My face was very chiseled, but I was weak. One guy said, "Hey, man, you look like you're turning into a model." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll be a dead model," because, I got fat on me, right? I mean, when I lose weight, my face is very chiseled when I get to a certain weight. But laying there and I was weak, but there was a side of me that was just so relaxed and I was slipping away. I can't say, I saw demons or I saw angels. It just felt good. And I was like I was floating. At one point I asked Mrs. Scurv, I said, are we in Ghana or are we in Orlando? That was a night that was the worst. And she would get up every time I would move in the bed, she'd get up and look like a cat who's looking over the kittens. And so if I tried to get to go to the bathroom, she wouldn't let me because I was too weak. I had no balance. My balance wasn't off. I had no balance. I had fallen on my own a couple times. My equilibrium was off, and she would hold me up until I went into the bathroom and sat down or either stood up. And if she wasn't there, I'd have to crawl to the bathroom in order not to fall because I was already on the ground. And the feeling of weakness, I've never known anything like that. That even after I got well to look normal and put on a little weight, it was like I was just so weak. But I bluffed.
Were you dizzy?
Yeah, but not in the conventional sense. But it was just, I just laid there. I mean, imagine, that would be so boring to me. I do videos and I write and I run the site. I talk to people on the phone, do my stuff.
Right.
And for me to get up and have nothing, I couldn't even answer the phone. I'm sitting there and I'm not going to lie. I'm going to tell everybody. I would see the phone and I knew that I couldn't muster up enough energy just to talk. And y'all guys know I talk.
Yeah, that's why I didn't call you. I called a couple times and I said, he needs to get his rest. After I found out about that, I said, I'll just let him rest. And I let you rest for a while before I contacted you.
Yeah. And I just want to thank everybody for being so understanding. But I was so weak that I couldn't even put out some kind of announcement or anything. I was just so weak. I never knew. I just wanted to curl up and sleep. Think of the worst flu. Think of the worst and multiply that times 25. Malaria is no joke. It is no joke.
Malaria.
Yeah. But see what happened. I was burnt out before I went on that trip. I was already burnt out. I was driving the bus 11 hours a day, coming home doing shows at night, waking up doing shows in the morning, doing some shows on breaks through the phone, doing different things, lining up shows, writing things, bringing my computer to, and I'm driving, dealing with the public. And I drove in some of the worst neighborhoods in Orlando, what they would say, stressful because of the knuckleheads, people throwing bricks at the bus and wanting to fight. And I had to handle all of that, which was a pleasure because I'm a talker. It's easy for me. But I just, let me tell you, I laid around and knew that I had stuff to do. The first show that I did back, I acted like myself. And I'll finish it up because I want to get on with what you're talking, but I acted like myself. I had it where I can show my face and like block it. Like I have a banner up now, but if I showed my face, you could see my face. But I showed my face a little while and acted energetic and then blocked it off. And I told whatever guest I had on, I said, listen, when I block myself out, please take over, talk as long as you want, but please hesitate on calling me because I am so weak. I had a microphone on the table and I blocked myself out and I had another microphone on the floor with a pillow and some covers and my headphones, and I would, if needed, I would talk there. I had a mute button to mute, and I'm just almost near sleep, listening to the show, and then talk again. And before the show was over, I'd climb up in the chair, wipe my face because I was sweating, and I would act my old energetic self. But everybody knew I was weak. They knew I was sick. You know what I mean?
Man,
yeah,
that's amazing. Talk about you. That's I'm at a loss for words. Yeah, that's the type of commitment that we have to have, though.
Yeah,
for the uplift of our nation. That's the type of commitment. I mean, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Even if it costs you, if you expire doing what you're doing, because that's what you're supposed to be doing anyway.
Right. That's the thing. I knew that, but I came back, and I had a lot of time to think, and I said, man, when I get back on my feet, I'm gonna smash it. I'm going to keep smashing it and smashing it. I don't care. I'm going to learn to improve. I'm going to learn within my level to be the best. I don't compete with anybody. I learn from people.
The only person you're competing with is yourself.
Exactly.
I never compete with anybody but me.
Exactly. So,
and that's the greatest competition you'll ever have.
Exactly. And that's why, and when I say I mean the platform and everybody combined with it. But, I've spent so many nights and days and years in solitude, starting things out, not knowing what direction to go to, or say, okay, let's go this direction. I mean, it's all authentic, but like, let's focus on this and that. And there's a lot of times when people are like, why are you doing this? You're not making any money. And I said, well, listen, money is not the goal. I mean, I'm trying to bring a feel here, and as now comes in the present day when our family here, generously donates, and I really appreciate it. And, I'm funny this way where I'm humble, but it's a call to do more. I say, oh my God, they believe in me, what we're doing. I got to do more, and I got to do more shows, and I got to improve. And I really appreciate it. I really do. Because for most of the time out here, people thought I was making all this money. I was putting my own money into stuff. And now that people can see what they say is a benefit, and all of us on the platform, every dime plus, it's not like this is running itself. I still got to put money in here, but every dime goes into this equipment, whatever I need, whatever. And I put it right back to improving, not just improving to say, hey, I got nice equipment, but you better learn how to work that equipment. You better learn how to do certain things, because technology changes like every 3-4 months. There's something new every 3. It's not even a year anymore. It's every 3.
Yeah.
These tutorials that I look at, things I learn and things, I'm like, this is old now. So it's just a labor of love, and I really get a great joy. And I was just thinking that to myself earlier. It really brings me a great joy. It's like a kid that has the toys in the neighborhood, and he loves for his friends to come over and share the toys and let's have a good time.
I know where you're coming from. There's no greater expression of joy that can be derived and from the utilization of your creative gifts.
It was a call to action.
And you mentioned
it was a call to action because to me, and we'll change it over because we got to talk about what we can talk about. But it was like, I gave you gifts. You need to utilize them.
Yes.
And don't worry.
Don't sit on them.
Move forward with them, and don't worry about anything. Don't worry about anything. And when I came back sick, I'm going to be honest and tell the public and tell the world. I said, you know what? That voice told me that. I need to dedicate 24 hours a day to this. And it was time for me not to go back to my job. Right. And as much of a recovery as I was doing, it wasn't 2 months and you're well. This thing took, after 2 months, I was better, because guess what? We went to New York in early July, right? I was still weak as hell. We went to New York, just a mental thing, because Quaker went through the same thing. We both were almost out of here.
Wow,
he's a very private man, but his plane almost touched the ground before it went back up again. So this is when we knew we both have, and guess what? Nobody else around us caught it. Nobody that we talk back with people.
Nobody else but you two.
Yeah. So we understand. There was more to it. There was much more to it. And people say, well, show me on paper. We can't prove it, but we know. It's healthy. Don't let the gray beard fool you. That man is in phenomenal shape.
That's not a coincidence.
Exactly. Especially when you realize that you have weaponized, Congress. Who was it that asked? Was it the president or House of Representatives had asked, what was it now? Department of Defense about their use of weaponized ticks. Like, this is nothing new. Now, that was ticks because Lyme disease never leaves you. It just recedes and years later comes back. It could be aching joints or this or that. It's going to be something I have to deal with for the rest of my life, but it's nothing contagious. But to have both and not
necessarily.
Well, right. No, I understand it. I mean, that's what they say, but I know that by your eating and stuff, which I'm going to do because I'm going to take it to a new level with the proper eating, eventually as time goes on and I go to different places in the world and travel and visit. But try walking where you know that your bones and your whole body are hollow. Your body weight feels like 1,000,000 pounds. The minute when you sit down before your butt hits the couch, all of that weight on your knees and on your thighs, the bones, you feel it's a fatigue that you feel down to the bones. Now, I've done competitive bodybuilding for many years when I was younger. And I know fatigue. I know how to push my body.
That's a different type of feel.
It's a different type of thing. Yeah. Mrs. Scurv was stronger than me for a while. She's very strong, but she asked me to actually to help her lift some pots. And I went out there and I was like, I can't believe how weak I am. I really had, and these were big pots, but I was like, I can't believe how weak I am. I said, am I ever going to feel strong again? And to tell you the truth right now, I'm still not 100%. I'm probably 93, 94%. It's been over a year, but that thing knocked me. It wasn't like, bing bong, you bounce back. Nah, I'm still.
And it only takes a few crumbs to get some foolish Negro to do something like that. Some foolish, short-sighted person to do something like that. One of your own.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why you have to subject your own, unfortunately, to a level of scrutiny that's higher than from someone that's outside of your race.
Was not by chance.
The thing about them is that they can get in.
Yeah, that was not by chance. That was not by chance. That was not by chance. And, we both were almost out of here. And all I could say, like, I would never violate Quako's privacy, but I would never say, exactly how far, because that's his business, and I do know it, and he trusts me. We have a trust that's beyond measure. But he, at one point, was just about a lot worse off than me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to talk about that one day, to talk about how you came back.
Yeah. Well, it's a nutritional thing because all the time, I've eaten like an athlete these last few years. I've eaten like a competitive athlete, like an Olympian, the things I put in my body. Right. But, I'm older now than what I used to be. But my thing was I was never exercising. I was on the bus all day and I'd come home and get in the computer and I do a little yard work, but I wasn't doing anything. Any little strength I have or any way I look like I'm strong, it's because of what my foundation was. I was guilty of being burnt out, hormones off from the fatigue, extreme fatigue, because here's the sick part. I get pleasure when I feel fatigue. I like to fight through the fatigue. I'm kind of not no sexual pleasure. I'm just talking about it feels like I'm doing something. I like to push it to the end.
Right.
I want to fight my body. I got more to do. I got that kind of mentality like when I used to train. So, that was burning me out. And the eating good doesn't matter if you're not getting any rest. So
that's true.
I kind of wrecked myself that way. And when I went out to Ghana, I was so excited. You think I rested? I grabbed the cameras. I was trying to live stream every time, signals going out. I even had a short on the wire on most of my videos. I was still videotaping, recharging batteries, running here and there. And then I'd come home. Everybody else would go. I said home, right? Well, that was home. But to the hotel, everybody else would go to sleep. Say, okay, we're going to be up at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, guess what? 5 o'clock, I was editing videos on a slower internet. So when everybody else got up in the bright sun, I might have had 3 hours of sleep. But I was like, yo, this is an opportunity. I got to bring home the footage to everybody. Got to show them everything. Just even if it's driving down the street, I want to share it. Not like
I loved every minute of it. It was nice. It was really nice to see.
When I go back, I'm going to be rested, and I know how to do it now more with continuous footage. I got the GoPro that I'm gonna strap on my head or my chest, You're going to get that footage. You're going to get the live streams. You're going to get the stuff off the camera, more interviews. I know how to get it now more so, and I know how to deal with, the uploads and stuff. But I will say this one thing. Do you remember the statue with the foot on the guy's neck, a black man's neck, and the one in his private parts? We went there, and as we walked there, I would take like footage on the phone. Like, let me just grab some extra here. We pulled out the camera. We set the camera up in front of that statue, and Kwaku gave one of his best expressions ever in front of that statue. I was like, man, I'm so glad I got it. He had the handheld mic. Then I went in front of it and threw a few words and everything like that. And we were on our way to Kumasi. When we got to the hotel in Kumasi, we were going to go out and get something to eat. I said, listen, hold up. Let me start this out to start rendering, to transfer the files off of the card onto the computer. When I came back, I had the Kwaku version and my version in front of that statue the picture went viral. I went there. I was there. And I still have a video up from there when you can see it off the iPhone.
I saw the picture. I didn't know that you actually, so you were actually there.
Yeah. Like I said, we were contemplating all kind of stuff. We're like, well, listen, before we get out of here, we need to knock this bad boy down.
Well, when the people's mentality has been sufficiently raised, those things will be dismantled. They will dismantle them themselves.
So when we got back to the hotel and I had the transfer going on with other files that I had on the computer, there was, when I came back, I looked over. It wasn't finished, completed yet, but the two files in front of the statue were wiped off of the smart card, and they were supposed to be on the computer in the order it was, and it wasn't there. I don't know what happened, but those two were removed. Why? I mean, as far as the whole overall scheme of things to the world, hey, he's removed. A YouTuber, gone, vanished out of thin air. I didn't delete
that. Just doesn't happen like that. No,
it doesn't happen like that. No, it doesn't happen. There was a lot of funny business going on out there. So this is why with me, when I travel, I'll let people know when I'm there, but I never say, hey, next week, next year, this is where I'm going. I'm going to really move in a much more incognito way, because there is a lot of funny business right now going on around me in my life. And I understand it's not because I'm trying to say, yes, these are so important, but messages are getting out there. They don't like people like me or Brother Kwaku. They wonder if we're part of some bigger movement. There are people who are coming around, and they'll just say this, and I'll shut up after this. At least 4 or 5 times a week, I'll get a call from different people. Hey, Lance, man, I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing, man. Oh my God. I'm here from out of town. And I've been wanting to get up with you. I just got one a little early before. I want to get up with you. And I don't know where you are, man. Give me your address. Let me come by and pick you up, and we'll go videotape. What? Well, first of all, who are you? You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah. I get random things like that. I live like I'm not scared of anything like that. I'm just saying you have to move cautious, because right now,
you gotta be cautious.
There's other people telling me things too, like, man, until you came around here, this didn't happen and that didn't happen, and they weren't even on that level where I let them know little things happen. But it's weird. It's like people want to, and I don't mean these are single people. It's part of a concerted effort, definitely.
Sure it is.
So
sure.
I laugh and joke, and I move about freely, but I know how to cover my tracks. I've studied. I've been around people who've taught me, and I know a little bit myself.
Well, they can watch all they want, because they were even watching rappers, and people thought that it was kind of outlandish for people to even make a statement or make that assertion. But they eventually found out that when the government documents were declassified, that they were watching rappers too, even rappers.
Rappers, yeah.
And you're talking about more than rappers will ever even dare to talk about. And why would they watch them and not you? So
yeah, especially when
we know how the game, we know how it works.
Yeah, we know how it works. And we're going to do a show on that, and we'll speak about all of that whole thing. But there was a lot that was fishy, because we both almost died. I will say this: he was about 4 hours from being out of here.
Really?
Maybe I'm saying too much, but I'll just say that this is how serious it is. And he's in far better shape than me.
And he's in shape too.
Yeah. He goes out and rides his bike 80, 90 miles. He got to ride through tomorrow. It's going to be long, I know. And he'll come back and do work around the house and do the normal thing. I rode the bike 28 miles not too long ago, and I could not. It's like my butt cheeks were concrete. You know what I mean?
Your legs probably felt all pumped too.
Exactly, exactly. But let's get back on the subject. I can talk about this all night, but we will. I want to talk with you about that because you have that kind of way of speaking where it brings it out of me, and we'll go deeper in on that. Yeah.
Well, we've had common experiences too, so
yes.
In common activities and applications, I guess. But I think I was talking about inflammation.
Yes.
It's probably where I left off. I talked about how many people suffer from inflammation. And inflammation is looked upon as one of the principal causes of a electron deficiency. So when you're deficient in electrons, or if you have an electron deficiency, it causes a host of problems like PMS, fatigue. I think I mentioned jet lag, arthritic pain, backaches, and things like that, and a whole host of other types of ailments. It has been found that going outside with your feet directly on the earth for even a half hour or so or more, it yields huge health dividends. And without a proper overstanding of what they call free radicals, people would tend to think that they are quote unquote bad. But those things that they call free radicals can be beneficial at certain times and detrimental at others. Because like I mentioned, just because something is positively charged or negatively charged does not necessarily mean it is beneficial for you. It could be situational. So in order to understand or understand that, you need to know how, free radicals work. So according to my research on free radicals work like this. There's such a thing called what do they call it? The body's internal response. It's called the inflammatory response. Anybody that studies, physiology and things like that, biochemistry, you'll know about this. Or if you're into health, if you're a health, involved in the fitness thing, or if you're, trying to be healthy, you'll know about this. But this inflammatory response is that's what they call the body's internal security. That's what I call the body's internal security team type response. And what these free radicals are, they're necessary and they are good in this sense when the inflammatory response happens. So when you have what they call inflammation in your body, that's your body's natural response to deal with things like injuries, trauma, microorganisms. If you have damaged cells or damaged tissues, if you have pathogens in your body, you've had it, you go work out and you're going to have that inflammatory response. That's what happens in your body. Or if you have an injury or a cut, or if you get sliced with a knife or something like that, you're going to have the inflammatory response is going to automatically kick in. So when this happens, the free radical molecules are released to assist with the healing process. And that's what they call the oxidative burst. They have different terms for this stuff. So that's when the free radicals are beneficial. So when the white blood cells and the yellow liquid part of the blood, the plasma, when that's released, this is associated with the mass release of what they call free radicals. So again, that's what they call the oxidative burst. So these free radicals are seekers of electrons by nature because they're unstable, and because they're unstable, what they need to do is they need to strip those pathogens and those damaged tissue of electrons. So they need to steal some electrons from those damaged tissues or from those microorganisms or from those pathogens. And when they do that, they neutralize those elements and they aid in their destruction. So when this inflammation occurs, they call it acute. And it's automatic, like I mentioned, it's automatic and it's a necessary process in the human body. Now, free radicals can also be detrimental in your body. So you could say, for simplicity's sake, that if you want to say they can go rogue, this is when they can become harmful and cause chronic or even prolonged pain and discomfort. And whenever this happens, those free radicals, they actually migrate from a diseased tissue repair site into a healthy tissue, and they can cause things like cellular destruction and disease. You know, so this can cause, it can go from acute to what they call chronic inflammation. And when you have chronic inflammation, you can have anything from like diabetes to kidney failure to, you know, arthritis, even heart disease, or even something like pancreatitis. And so this excess amount of positive electrons are good for defending the body against trauma and pathogens. But when they relocate to the healthy parts of the body, they have to be neutralized. And that is it's the Earth's electrons that can actually do that. So that's the tie-in. So in order for this to occur, in order for those things to be neutralized, the body has to be equalized, or it has to be synced with the natural electrical potential of the Earth, because the Earth has a natural electrical potential. Yes. And so this happens when the body, and of course the body is a conductive object, when the body and the Earth, which is also a conductive object, when the body and the Earth equalize or they sync, this is what happens. That neutralization. So this neutralization is similar to what happens when clay is used to remove, quote unquote, bad positively charged ions from the body, like, you know, for eliminating physical ailments and disease. Yes. You know? So how do we take advantage of this, this abundant energy source that's available to all? And it really is available to all. It doesn't discriminate. And of course, the answer is by what they call earthing. You know, these people come up with these fancy terms that they, quote unquote, discover, but they only uncover or re-uncover what's already been known by indigenous populations. And so this is how we take advantage of this energy. So what exactly is earthing? Earthing, they call it different names: earthing, grounding, barefooting, barefoot revolution. You know, earthing means basically sleeping, sitting, working. It means different things. It could mean sleeping, sitting, working while you're connected to a conductive wire that delivers healing energy, earth energy to your body. It could also refer to sitting and or maybe walking barefoot, or otherwise connecting your skin to the earth in some type of manner. It could be your leg, it could be your arm, it could be your back, but there's some type of connection with body to skin, skin to body, or skin to earth. It could be sitting on the earth with your skin exposed. It could also be, of course, like I mentioned, walking barefoot, connecting one's personal conductor, their skin, to the earth. And so all living things pretty much draw energy through their paws, through their feet, or even through their roots. And everybody should know a little bit about electricity to know how some people like to know about this. Some people don't care. They just know that it works. But for those of you who may be more scientific minded, it works because with electricity, you have three materials used in electricity. You have conductors, you have semiconductors, and you have insulators. And when it comes to conductors of electricity, you have things like leather. Believe it or not, leather is a conductor of electricity, like animal skins or hide. Wow. Yes, especially when moist. Yes, when they're moist. Yes, and because leather has pores. Animal skin has pores. It breathes. So that's a conductor of electricity. Grass is a conductor of electricity. Marble conducts electricity. Stone conducts electricity. What else? Cement. Of course, dirt floors conduct electricity. Concrete, we live in a concrete jungle, but concrete also conducts electricity. But concrete is, because the reason why it conducts electricity is because concrete is composed of water and minerals. Right, minerals. But of course, the concrete has to be unsealed and unpainted for it to be a conductor of electricity. Okay. So keep that in mind. And then, straw can conduct electricity as well, especially if it's damp. So dampening with water enhances the conductivity of grass, straw, or animal skins, because animal skins plus body perspiration, those things plus body perspiration allow for electron conductivity. So that's how you conduct electricity. And of course, you have copper metallic wiring conducts electricity, right? And the human body, of course, is composed of water and minerals like the earth and the water. The human body is a conductor of electricity. And I used to wonder about that because I know if you, it's common knowledge that water conducts electricity, right? But is that really accurate? Because what really happens is you take water and you send a surge of electricity through it, then you'll probably get shocked. But if you take distilled water, which is void of minerals, and you send electricity through it, nothing will happen. It doesn't conduct electricity. Mm-hmm. The reason why is because there's no minerals. So it's really minerals are the ones that conduct the factor that conducts the electricity and not the actual water itself. So, because if you take that same water and you put minerals in that water, it'll light up like a Christmas tree if you pass electricity through it. You know, so those are conductors of electricity, and that's important for you guys to know if you want to, take advantage of this. And then, of course, you have the semiconductors and then the insulators. The insulators would be things that do not conduct electricity, like in most people's homes. You have in your homes and your workplaces, you have things like rubber, plastic, mm-hmm. from the modern world. You have wood, you have glass, you have petrochemical compounds all over the place. Just about everything in your house is made with some type of petrochemical. You have synthetic carpet. Yeah. You have vinyl. You have things like asphalt, which is also a type of petrochemical. And when you deal with semiconductors, a semiconductor is obviously something in between a conductor and an insulator. It's not the best conductor, and it's not also the best insulator. It's kind of like, it's sometimes conducting and sometimes it does not conduct. So now take leather. When it's moist, leather is very conductive, and it was replaced actually by quote unquote modern materials as shoe material. So shoe soles, the soles of your shoes, they mm-hmm. replaced those simple heelless moccasins that the Native Americans would wear. Mm-hmm. And these moccasins are now found to be the ideal shoe, even though it's been around for time immemorial. Right. So there was a doctor. His name was, last name was Wolfe, W-O-L-F-E, Dr. David Wolfe, that's his name. He referred to modern shoes as the world's most dangerous invention, based on how it has disconnected us from the earth. See? Really, really important. Now, when you think about animals and how they ground with the earth, animals, when they're taken out of their natural habitat, you know that they suffer when they lose connectivity to the earth. And if they suffer when they lose connectivity to the earth, why wouldn't we as humans, who are also animals, if you want to call us higher animals, mm-hmm. we suffer as well. So example, dogs, when they are in human habituation, they are subject to all of the same ailments that humans have, and they keep the vets very busy. And chickens, for example, they never ever get sick, but when you put them in captivity, in chicken coops, they need to be protected. And it's said that there's no wild animal that even dies when there's a tsunami. But of course, the domesticated animals, they do die because they lose some of their, I guess you could call it their spider sense or their connection to the earth. Mm-hmm. So I read about a guy who wrote a book about this. And he talked about his experience when he first started, earthing, or what they call grounding, because there's different ways to do it. You can do it the regular way by directly contacting your feet or your skin to the ground, or you can do it in a modern way, like if you live in a high rise and you're not able to do or connect to the ground as much. He took some metallized duct tape, because that conducts electricity. So the duct tape that has metallic particles or metallic pieces inside of the duct tape. And then he attached an alligator clip to the end of the he actually took the duct tape and he made a grid on his was it a blanket, and then he attached an alligator clip to the end of the grid, and he connected that to a wire, and he took that wire and connected that wire to a ground rod, and he took that he ran that outside of his house, and he stuck that into the wire into the ground rod into the ground. Mm-hmm. And now there's a voltmeter. You've heard of these things called voltmeters. They measure voltage. Yes. It's like a meter. It measures voltage. It displayed nearly zero when he did this, because he was actually sinking himself with the ground. Because for a long time he couldn't sleep, and he found that there were a lot of electrical wires behind the bed where his bed was sitting. And that was the reason why he couldn't sleep, because there was a lot of electrical interference. Mm-hmm. So he took he connected he discovered this with his voltmeter. So as he walked around the house, and he noticed fluctuations based on where he walked in the house. So he connected this voltmeter to a wire, and then he grounded it outside to see, what effect it would have. And when he walked outside his house, mm-hmm. He slept. Once he conducted this experiment, he basically slept like a baby, because his arthritis pain went way down, and this indicated that he was in sync, or he was electrically equivalent to the earth, or the earth's ground. So he found his friends, and they pretty much experimented with the same thing, and they had the same results. They had a lot of health benefits. Right. There was one woman that I read about. She had a severe case of lupus, and she had a substantial reduction in symptoms just by sleeping on what they call a grounding pad alone, because you can make these for a pad too, or you can purchase those. So she managed, she arranged it so that she could actually ground herself for 8 hours at night and 8 hours while she worked on her computer. Mm-hmm. So she actually used a grounding desk pad that was connected to a ground, and then a floor pad at her computer. And this made a huge difference in her severe autoimmunity. Because when you ground on the inside, you're basically taking, even though you're not outside, everyone has an outlet inside their house, and that outlet ultimately goes to what they call a grounding wire, because that wire is stuck directly into the ground. Mm-hmm. For electrical purposes. And if your wiring is configured correctly, and you can only find that out if you have an electrical engineer or an electrician come to your house to examine your electrical outlet to find out if it's properly grounded, right. Then you can actually do this in your house, because they found out that you can get the same benefits from grounding indoors as you could from outdoors. But me personally, I think you can get it better from outside. Mm-hmm. But there's significant benefits from doing it on the inside as well. So there was a person I heard about with multiple sclerosis. And I know that person, I know somebody with that disease right now. And they have what they call, dizzy spells. They need a cane. Otherwise, their legs they tend to collapse. I don't know how familiar you would be with that disease, but I know somebody with that disease. Mm-hmm. And one person tried this that had multiple sclerosis. They tried the earthing method, and they found that they could walk better, experience walking without pain, and not even have their legs collapse as often. Some people have gone from having or requiring knee shots and knee injections and not walking to actually being able to dance for the first time in years, just from, connecting with the earth. I've known people that have had, crippling arthritic pain relief. So many different types of symptoms, from varicose veins to even they have a wound, they accelerate the healing of their wounds. If they have things like swollen joint relief, even women, they've had better or smoother menstrual periods. People that get headaches or migraines, less intense headaches or less frequent headaches. Right. It can benefit people with autism. Snoring, I've even heard about people snoring, not snoring once they've connected to the ground or earthed. Sleep apnea, easier breathing, like if somebody with bronchitis, emphysema. My grandfather had that, or respiratory issues. Even things like constipation, foot pain, shoulder pain. I mentioned multiple sclerosis, constipation relief, thyroid issues, sexual enhancement. And, I can tell you for a fact that, if you drink a lot of water, you'll wake up every morning like you're 17 years old. That's a fact. And that's all because of, you don't have circulation down. If you don't have proper circulation, because in order to have that thing work, you have to have circulation. If you have no circulation, it's not going to work. And a lot of people get enough water. So, and then, the spectrum of relief, it can range from total to partial to immediate or gradual. So, I've read about people with going from 20 migraines a month to 1 or 2 a month, just from doing this grounding and barefooting and earthing. Mm-hmm. One lady I heard about, she had painful rheumatoid arthritis, in her knees. She had to take every morning she had to take like 2 Advils every day, and she had to wait for an hour for that to work. And then only after that could she get out of bed without much leg pain. And then after she started earthing, she didn't have that problem no more. Amazing. And then I knew of a person that had allergy. They were taking allergy meds and sneezing like 15 times in a row to 0 allergy meds. And like you, when you came back from Africa, last thing you were concerned with was jet lag. But if you go on an overseas trip and you come back, you're going to have jet lag. And normally it could take you like a week to recover. But people that do that, they recover in a few days, even after travel from, like, say, from here to Europe. So that's pretty amazing. So, you know, some people have, you know, been, they're so incapacitated by allergies to pets and pollen that it could put them out of commission for you know, 3 days, you know, depending on how severe their you know, their allergies are. So, but with earthing, those episodes are eliminated. You know, I've heard a story about people with chronic fatigue syndrome, with people with cognitive issues, and they miraculously receive their cognition and their memory back just from earthing. You know, I've heard even people coming off of blood pressure medication. You know, a lot of people on high blood pressure, people with that, they've come off of their medication. People with degenerative eye disease, they reverse that by earthing. People that, I think I mentioned snoring, people that snore, when they start earthing, they haven't snored for years because of grounding now, or earthing. I've even heard about people with severe, like really severe rheumatoid arthritis pain in their joints, say their ankles, their knees, their hands, after maybe, let's say, having a career as a car mechanic. If you're a car mechanic, you're going to have to worry about things like that when you get older. Joints, ankles, knees, hands, you know, because you're in all types of crazy positions and, you know, a lot of stress on your body. But, you know, I knew about one guy, he was taking, you know, a lot of drugs like ibuprofen, thousands of milligrams a day, and he was forced into retirement as a result. But with grounding, now he's active and he's using his hands again, and he's working with tools and pliers, something that he could never do before.
Wow.
So just shows you how effective this really is. So I knew a person with 20 years of back pain, after grounding with a small outlet in his house for under 2 hours, he had no more pain, you know? So another way, like I mentioned, grounding at home, you would do that through your electrical outlet, and you would need to have it tested, like I said, by an electrical engineer or an electrician to make sure it's properly grounded. And you can also test it yourself. And, you know, there's ways to do that. But I mentioned also, if you have the guy that made his own grounding pad, when he first started making these things, it was a crude, you know, device, but it actually worked with the electrical tape. And he connected, like I said, the alligator clip, and he connected a wire to that, and he connected that to a grounding wire, and he plugged it into his ground outside to connect to the earth. So for all intents and purposes, he was still grounding, you know? So with his grounded bed pad, it was actually plugged into the ground, and that ground was an outlet, and like I mentioned, the outlet was grounded properly to the earth. I've even read about people that had cravings for nicotine eliminated after less than 2 months of earthing because they were just reconnected back to the planet. I've heard of people having more vivid psychedelic dreams. They've reported that, you know. So I've heard about these Norwegian carpenters. These guys actually walk barefoot on the earth first thing every morning because they found out that when they walk barefoot on the earth, it eliminates the pains and the aches associated with their profession.
Wow.
And that allows them to withstand the rigors of that business. Yeah, that's how it works. And so this inflammation is really caused by electron deficiency, and earthing remedies all that, you know? So if you, when you do your earthing at home, you can have there's devices you can buy, but like I mentioned, you can actually make those products yourself at home.
Yes.
You can purchase conductive earthing sheets. They have earthing mattresses. They have earthing floor mats. They have earthing mouse pads, desk pads. They have earthing like sleeping bags if you travel for athletes. They have electrode patches and knee bands that you can connect to different spots of your body. They have those Velcro body bands that connect to a wire that wrap around your waist, your wrist, or a knee, or something like that. And then they even have them for people that drive trucks, or that especially people that drive trucks, because a truck is a large piece of metal and it provides a semi-earth ground because it's metallic, which is weird, but it's very effective for them too. So I've also read that grounding eliminates or reduces EMF. A lot of people are concerned about electromagnetic fields nowadays. Because again, once you become one with the earth, you're in sync with the earth, and you're neutralizing, or you're being, you're become equivalent polarity-wise with the earth. But I saw this demonstrated on a video where the demonstrator used a voltmeter on his body, and the voltage was fluctuating when he was near electrical devices. And he also reached equilibrium, or normalized his frequency with the voltage of the earth when the voltmeter was used to measure the subject's voltage after he grounded. So it just shows you that grounding does neutralize your polarity and makes you sync, or makes you equivalent polarity-wise to the earth. And one place you guys can get a lot of information on this is a site called earthinginstitute.net. earthinginstitute.net. But the health benefits are just amazing, though. I mean, I read about, there was a 36-year-old guy who dramatically improved his, he also had multiple sclerosis, but he had debilitating multiple sclerosis. He was written off by the medical establishment, told that they couldn't do anything for him, and he was simply told to become bedridden and make, himself as comfortable as possible. And he was able to eliminate that by earthing. So it does a lot of benefit for the body. It reduces, it eliminates chronic pain. It dramatically speeds healing. It accelerates recovery from intense athletic activity. I think I mentioned it improves sleep in most cases. It eliminates and improves many inflammatory disorders, balances things like biorhythms and your circadian rhythms. And I notice a lot of people have difficulty sleeping at night. That's something that nobody should have. Number one, if you exercise, you won't have difficulty sleeping. But if you do, if you still have difficulty sleeping, I found the ultimate remedy for that too. I mean, I'll tell you about that later if you remind me.
Sure.
And for every person that I used it with, it always worked. And I found out when I was a child, I found out about this. And so when I went to college, I had my friend do it for me, and it actually worked. And I have yet to find a person that it doesn't work, that it doesn't knock them out like immediately. So the Native Americans, I read about a Native American girl. She was stricken with scarlet fever. And so guess what the remedy was for this woman that was stricken with scarlet fever?
What's that?
Her, I think it was her grandfather. He dug a huge pit in the ground. He put her in the ground into this huge pit that he dug for her for a few days. And of course, he built a fire next to the pit to keep her warm, And after a few days, she had recovered from her scarlet fever, from earthing, from grounding.
Wow.
And there was a study done in the edition of, I forgot the name of that journal. ESD, I think it was. It's a journal that deals with electrostatics. It was a 60-person study, and they found out that all these people, they were sleeping quicker, 85%, I think. 82% had a reduction in muscle stiffness. 93% slept better throughout the night. Some had relief from PMS, hypertension, rheumatoid arthritis. They found that grounding, when stopped, causes the body to revert back to its same state of disease. Wow. So it has to be continued if you want continued benefits. Okay. And I also, I told you about the thing that they use in vehicles and cars. There's devices that you can use in your car to ground yourself to the metal in the truck, because that serves as a semi type of ground to eliminate, because I know a lot of truckers, they have issues with, they take a lot of pills for pain and for their back pain and all this stuff. But grounding can help them too, to make those long trips. And I know a lot of truckers listen to this program, and it might be beneficial for them to, like I mentioned, this is beneficial for everyone. But There was an excellent book written about this too called Earthing.
Mm-hmm.
EARTHING. That's a really good book about that. I would recommend anybody on this in the listening audience to get that book if you want to get the breakdown. And even if you want to make these things at home yourself, instead of spending, it's probably an exorbitant amount just to get these things from the manufacturer, or different manufacturers make them. And you know, clay, as I mentioned, clay works the same way. Clay is actually negatively charged, and clay neutralizes positively charged molecules that cause disease, because a lot of those positively charged molecules, those are the things that cause disease. So like I said, you know, just because something is positive doesn't make it beneficial. But just like the Earth's electrons, they neutralize the positively charged molecules that cause internal inflammation from free radicals that I earlier talked about. So, but if you want to get into clay, clay is something that's been used on a universal basis by indigenous cultures all over the planet. You know, there's a part in the Bible, Brother Quaker will be familiar with, John chapter 9, where Jesus healed a blind man with the clay and spit, which is incidentally a stolen Egyptian story. That story was in Egypt before Jesus was even concocted or created. It came from the Egyptian mysteries, and it dealt with the secret name of Re or Ra and his relationship with Isis. But that's another story. But if you go back to clay, clay has about, or according to them, 6,000 years of documentable effectiveness. But they've only been around this planet for 6,000 years. So, you know, it goes back for millennia, you know, and even beyond that. But there's different types of clays. You know, there's a clay that they call a mixed use clay, and that's the type of clay that comes from different like internal formations of a volcano. And then they have what they call the lab clay, which is like a mixed clay that they use to create fire bricks. It's more like a construction type of product. And then they have a clay called chlorite, CHLORITE. They use that to clean, for cleaning, like as an abrasive cleaner. And there's other different classifications of clay, like illite, ILLITE is another type of clay. It's a dirty, like green type of clay that they found. They use it in marine type of environments or commercially. And then they have this other one, they call it vermiculite. Some people probably heard of that. They use it in porcelain, pottery, you know, things like china. You can't use that internally, although there's some unscrupulous companies out there selling it for you to use it internally. You're not supposed to use that internally. But again, we live in a capitalist system, and money is the principal, you know, the object of importance in this type of system, in this backwards system that we live in. So you don't want to take that internally, whatever you do, because it actually has a positive and a negative charge, and it's not what they call adsorbent. And then there's another one called smectite, SMECTITE. And that is the type of clay that has like the broadest spectrum of properties for healing and detoxifying. And I mentioned the word adsorbent, ADSORBENT. It sounds like absorbent, which is spelled the opposite way, ABSORBENT. But when something is adsorbent, ADSORBENT, that just means that it attracts toxins to the surface of it. Like Velcro, you know how Velcro or like a magnet attracts metal fillings,
yes,
or metal filings. It's like it has what I call the sticky effect. It causes things to stick to it. And then if it's absorbent, AB, that means it absorbs toxins like a sponge. And so charcoal, which you can make at home. Charcoal, not the commercial briquettes you see in the store. That's not something you want to use internally. But charcoal is also adsorbent. It's adsorbent. It causes things to stick, or toxins to stick to its surface, like Velcro, you know. And if you ever have a forest fire, the first things, or the first life forms that you'll see coming to that forest fire after the fire is over are all the animals in that forest, because they instinctively know, or they've been genetically encoded to know, or they've been taught from their animal culture or their animal cultural environment or their animal cultural families, that clay or that charcoal is actually beneficial for them. Now, the clay's molecular integrity does not change.
Keep talking. I'm going to hit the restroom really quick. I'll be back. Keep talking.
Okay.
Okay.
So the molecular integrity of the clay does not change. What that means is that it's not assimilated or absorbed into the body when it passes through the digestive system, the alimentary canal. It passes out of the body with the toxins bound to its molecular structure. So it sticks to the structure of the substance. So now the smectite that you want to get would be the calcium bentonite clay, not the sodium bentonite. The sodium bentonite should never be ingested. And the bad things in the body like bacteria, viruses, fungi, toxic chemicals, and disease, they are normally positively charged. Those things are normally positively charged, believe it or not. Viruses, fungi, toxic chemicals, bacteria, disease, those things are normally positively charged, while the calcium bentonite is actually negatively charged, like the planet Earth. The negative charge or the negatively charged ions are attracted to the surface of the calcium clay like a magnet. So it soaks up these toxins like a sponge. It also attracts and causes these toxins to bind or to stick to its molecular structure, like Velcro, like I mentioned with the absorbent effect. And in the animal kingdom, they call this practice the practice of consuming, eating earth or clay consumption. They call this geophagy. They got a name for everything. It's spelled Geophagy, geophagy. And I remember hearing about people coming from the South that would eat clay. And they didn't exactly remember or know why they ate it. They just knew that it was beneficial for them. I've heard that from many people that would eat the clay in the South. And even people, my grandfather would do that. The clay was really rich in red. And but they remembered it was from a bygone era, but they forgot that the earth clay is negatively charged and many toxins are positively charged. So as opposites attract, they remove those toxins like a magnet. And believe it or not, this practice of earth eating or clay eating is actually one of the most common animal prescriptions in the animal world. If you study the animal world, this is what you'll find out about the animal kingdom. They know about this, but we don't. But we're supposed to go to Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates and all these other freaks that are trying to force us to use artificial man-made types of so-called medicines. But of course, if you do any type of purchase of any type of clay, you have to do your own research and shop for the type of clay you need to purchase, because there's certain criteria you need to look for if you're looking for different types of clays. Like, just as an example, if you purchase a clay, it should be milled to a certain fineness. It should be milled to a certain fineness. So the fineness or the degree of fineness of the clay should be about 325 microns or less. And so just to give you an idea of how small that is, if you consider something like talcum powder, that's about the fineness that size 325 microns is. But if you look at the consistency of sand, that's not fine enough. The fineness of sand would not be acceptable in terms of the grade of clay that you would want to get. It should be, well, the sand would actually be about 50 micron screen mesh size, which is way too big. The fineness that you need would be the size of talcum powder, which is about 325 screen mesh particle size. Then, of course, if you use this clay, it should be for maximum what they call drawing power or pulling power or maximum efficacy or maximum effectiveness. It should be like 20-1 or higher, which means, some of these clays are like 3-1, which means basically it should attract or pull 30 times its molecular weight in toxins instead of 3 times the amount. So if you have a pound of poison, you should have a pulling power of clay that is 30 times the molecular weight of that poison that's in your system. And another thing you should look at, it should have no more than 2.5% sodium, because salt is not beneficial in detoxes. And of course, you want to have the proper alkalinity. You know, the pH should be around 9.5 or higher. And I mentioned to you about certain animals that use clay. They use clay, and a lot of them, they also use charcoal. But you have to also make sure that your clay is calcium based. You have to make sure it's natural and clean. It should be, you know, ideally direct from a mine, unpurified. You know, preferably in a unprocessed form. Preferably also from a subsurface mine. You know, if it's been purified or if it's been processed, it's not acceptable for it to have been heated or hydrated in any way, because a heating or hydration process removes the impurities from the clay. And so if you're looking for that, you want to look for certain types of details on that. I mean, if you want more details on that, I would, there's a book called The Clay. What is the name of that book? The Clay book, I think it is. It's a blue book, and it's a very, very good book. It talks a lot about clay and how it works. And then, no, actually the name of it is Living Clay. That's the name of it, Living Clay. Just to make sure you get the correct type of clay. I mean, I've seen certain clays advertised in certain places. I couldn't really recommend them, but it looked like a good, you know, company. And certain clays that they have are actually beneficial for people that want to stop smoking. It can eliminate, it has been said to be powerful enough to eliminate people's desire to even smoke, because when you take a clay bath, which is one of the ways that you can administer these clays, it has a drawing power or a pulling power, and it pulls out all the impurities in your body, whether it's heavy metals, radioactive materials, toxins, different types of toxins, and there's different types of clay mixtures for different types of ailments. And so how do you apply or use clay? You can use it internally or externally. I know some people use them for what they call clay packs, where they make a paste, and they use what they call a poultice to put it in place, or a bandage. So like a giant bandage would be what I would call a poultice. You can use it in lotion form or hydrated topical form. You can also use it, as I mentioned, as a clay bath. And as I mentioned, some of these eliminate heavy metals. Some of them allow you to stop smoking. There's a whole host of benefits, but you'd have to do your own research. You can also have it in liquid form, where you drink it, you know, as in a drink. Or it could be in a powder or dry form, where you directly apply the clay. And it's been said that water and clay are often all that you'll ever need to restore your health. It's one of the most effective remedies on the planet. And clay works over time. It's not like an instant type of thing, but it works for just about everything. If you think about autism, tumors, AIDS, radiation poisoning, cancer, menstrual cramps, diaper rash, food poisoning. Food poisoning, I know drug, alcohol addiction. I know I had a cousin that had a drug addiction, and I think one of the things they used for him was to pump his stomach was charcoal. And I know another person that was an alcoholic that said that the first thing they gave him when he went to the hospital to clean his system was a solution of charcoal. So it works for things like heart health, you know, mercury toxicity, those dental amalgams, kidney stones, diabetes, even gangrene, staph, and other types of infections. So it works for just about everything. And it actually, am I being heard loud and clear?
Loud and clear, brother. That's wonderful what you're telling us, man. Basically, we need to keep that around. I mean, is there a way to store it? Is there a way? I mean, I guess that's something I have to research a little deeper. If you had that around your house, yeah, you know, the charcoal, the clay, the different stuff like that. Like
charcoal can be easily stored in your house. Easily, you should have that everywhere in your house. And the clay too. They're very, very, very effective. Charcoal even more than the than clay even more so than the charcoal, but they both are very, very effective. As long as you have it like in a cool environment, you should be fine. But one of the books that a good book on that is called Living Clay. Excellent book. Excellent book. I highly recommend it. You know, they actually used clay as a currency in ancient times. Really? There's many different types of currencies that people. Yes, currency. Currency is not just Federal Reserve notes. We know that Federal Reserve notes are worthless. Exactly. We know Federal Reserve notes are promissory notes, promises to pay debt obligations. We know that Federal Reserve notes are, fractional reserve currency, fiat currency, which has no value whatsoever. And we knew that what's happening right now was going to happen. We didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but we knew something big was going to happen because, I knew, and I know you knew, I knew from my study of history that this, something big was going to happen because they knew that this system, which is being artificially propped up, had to come down, and they had to divert our attention away from that. And of course, they're doing this for a multitude of other reasons because they like to kill multiple birds with one stone. It was like a confluence of so many different things or reasons. And I talked about that in detail in my tape called Plandemic, which was the first tape that I did with you a couple months ago.
Yes. Excellent.
Plandemic. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, currency, in terms of currency, even certain parts of the world, they use cow dung. Cow dung is a fertilizer. You know, it doesn't just have to be, it doesn't even have to be gold. It's commodities. And that's what's really going to be important. Right. You can have all the money in the world, but this economy crashes. What's going to be important to you? You're going to be more concerned with a bag of sugar or a bag of flour, or you're going to be concerned with some toilet paper money that you can wipe your butt with.
Right, right.
You know, right. You're not going to be concerned with that. You're going to be concerned with commodities, things of value. But yeah, Jewish theology talks about, it says that a golem, you know, you've probably heard of the golem. The golem is like a monster in Jewish theology.
Yeah.
Spelled Golem. It's a one-eyed clay figurine, basically a monster.
I know exactly.
They said that a golem was their protector. You know what I'm talking about? That was their protector against the Gentiles, the golem.
Wow.
But it's funny how the modern golem used against the people is the transnational monster you call the corporation. It's just a golem by another name, and it's run by the same people.
Wow.
You know, just a thought or an observation on my part. And in terms of my personal experience with clay, when I was a little boy, I had very, very beautiful, radiant skin. And then my diet was bad. I started eating the wrong foods, potato chips, chocolates, and I found that I developed, it caused me to develop cystic acne. So like everybody else, I would go for the over-the-counter stuff, you know, and all that stuff. None of the stuff worked. It caused scarring on my skin. And so one day, being the bookworm that I am, I went to the library and I, you know, spent time in the library and I found out what I needed to do. So I found this book called Mario Badescu's Skincare Program for Men. And this book talked about how to make your own natural healing products.
See that? With
different types of clays. And I learned about steaming, how to properly steam my skin. And despite all the other over-the-counter things that I bought, which only worsened the acne for me, I found that the natural way worked. And I found that when I used the clay actually had a magnetic drawing power. You can feel it pulling the impurity out of the skin. Because if you've ever done that before, you know what it's like.
Yes.
When you use the clay on your skin, you're not supposed to talk.
Right, because it'll flake off. Wrinkles. Yeah, it'll flake off. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, it's powerful. It was powerful. I used the green clay. So the first thing I did was steam my skin. And there's a way to do that because you don't want to get too close to the. I steamed the skin with a big pot of water, and then I had a big blanket, and I covered my head with a blanket, and I covered everything with a blanket, and I put my head over the water, not too close, not too far, but there's a certain distance, like 10, 12 inches away. And then I put, at that time I had oily skin. That's why my face was always shiny. I had oily skin, so I used chamomile flowers, which was beneficial for oily skin. And I used that, and I steamed the skin. And then after steaming the skin, I noticed that all of the pus from the acne would come to the surface of my skin. And then I would follow that up with the clay mask, and the clay mask just finished everything off. It just pulled everything out. And my acne went away in short order, and it worked like a charm. But funny how they use clay. Clay is hidden in plain sight, and it's rebranded in many different ways, like different products like kaolin, Kaolin, kaopectate. That's a form of kaolin.
Wow.
Pepto-Bismol, it has that. Tums includes it. So there's many different products, but you know, you're buying these products, but they want you to go through them.
Right.
You know. So,
amazing.
But that's pretty much what I wanted to tell you guys about this. I hope that was beneficial. But you mentioned when it comes to money, when it comes to, because I titled this, you know, real wealth comes from Mother Nature. And those are some of the receipts. Of course, that's not all of the receipts, but those are some of the receipts. That's some of the proof. When you talk about wealth, wealth cannot be denominated in dollars and cents. And you can't put a price on natural treasures, because think about this. And I know some people will answer in the opposite manner, but me personally, I would rather be physically poor and genetically endowed than materially wealthy and genetically impoverished any day. And you know what I'm talking about. That's how I feel. And that's pretty much what I wanted to tell people today. I mean, there's a lot more for them to know about the natural world. That's very, very critical. And I'll disclose that at another time, because it'll take me forever, probably.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, when these shows like this, with this information that we can later on go and research some more through the books, or just piquing our interest this way, you know, many of us, and I'm not saying anybody here, because I believe everybody here in this chat room is phenomenal, but most and many people, regardless of race, they don't look at, they don't read, they don't inquire, they don't do this anymore, most in the society. And sadly, too many of us don't do it either. When we say we're bored, we say we have nothing to do, but we have a computer in our hand called a smartphone that will enable us to even purchase books. So we've got to go back out and start getting these books that we can hold our hand on, that we can read at candlelight if the lights go out and the power goes out, that we can hold on to and read. It's a different relationship. Let me just tell you, and most of us know, when you have a book in your hand, that's a whole different vibe. You're not getting that blue light like from the smartphone or the computer. It's something you can carry with you. You don't need to plug it in. You know what I mean? And you have a personal relationship with it. And there have been studies, I couldn't tell you exactly which one, but so much information comes my way. But you tend to absorb more from the book than you do from the smartphone or the computer screen. The information, the same exact information, you'll absorb it more. And nothing beats sitting by a window, sunlight, and reading a book. The full range of light. Nothing beats that. Nothing beats that at all.
I think for a bonus, I'm going to grab that book and read a couple pages from that. Sure. But I just thought about something else. In ancient India, the yogis of India, they actually slept and meditated on the ground on top of deer skin, which, as I mentioned, is a conductive material. Yes, it's conductive. They also slept on marble floors, earthen floors. They lived in caves surrounded by earth. And the Indian kings, when they learned about these techniques, they didn't want to sit on the ground because they're kings, right? So they slept on bed sheets that were made with copper material.
Copper?
And they connected those copper, yes. They connected their sheets to a wire, and they connected that wire to a copper rod, and they connected that copper rod, and they plunged the copper rod into the ground to ground it. And that allowed them to become synced, or polarity-wise equivalent to the polarity of the Earth. Because the polarity of the Earth is negative. It's electrons. And any type of ailment in your body is usually positively charged. And it neutralizes those positively charged free radicals. So this was said to also have endowed them with these longer lives too. But like I said, there's so many different benefits from health benefits wise. I mean, they tested people with their blood cells with a microscope before they started doing the earthing and after. Before they started doing the earthing, the cells were like, they were lumped together, soupy and thick. After they did the earthing, they were thinner and they had better what they call blood viscosity. You know how when you think of viscosity, you normally think about oil
yeah,
for your car.
Yeah.
Yeah, viscosity just means thickness. You know, less thickness, more mobility. And of course, blood thickness is a risk factor in stroke and heart attack. And so all these things that we should know, but we don't know because we had a divorce from Mother Nature, and we married this beast called capitalism.
Mm-hmm. Destructive beast.
You know. But let me grab that book real quick. Let me grab it. I want to read something that I thought about.
Yeah, take your time.
This will be for the truckers. Let me grab it. Hold on a second.
All right, let me play a little music. I'm gonna play Ella's theme.
All the truckers out there, people that's driving their car and they're uncomfortable when they drive.
Your phone is sounding a little distant, brother.
What's that?
Your phone is sounding like a little distant.
This is for all the people. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, you're much better, much better. Thank you.
Okay, good. Yeah, this is for all the people that are truck drivers or people that spend a lot of times in their cars driving and they have maybe back issues when they drive. Okay, let's see here. Okay, it says here, physicists and electrical engineers have chosen the Earth as the most obvious ground or reference point for all electrical power grids. The Earth provides a reference voltage, that is, the ground or zero potential against which all other voltages are established and measured. There is no absolute electrical potential. What is measured is the difference in electric potential between 2 points, one being the Earth, the reference point. What exactly is a ground? A ground is defined as a conductive object that makes a direct electrical connection to Earth and has the ability to absorb or dissipate an electrical charge, thereby maintaining a grounded object at the stable electrical potential of the Earth. Grounding is central to the safe and stable usage of electricity. A ground connection serves as an electrical sink that minimizes the susceptibility of electromagnetic interference in communication systems, reduces the risk of equipment damage due to lightning, eliminates electrostatic buildup, which can damage system components and help protect people who service and repair electrical, electronic, and computer equipment. So now you guys know why grounding is important. Mm-hmm. In effect, an electrical ground drains away any unwanted buildup of electrical charge. When a device or person is connected to an earth ground, that device or person will equalize with and maintain the stable electrical potential of the earth. An earth ground usually consists of a ground rod driven into the earth. In a car, truck, aircraft, or a spacecraft, there is no such thing as a true earth ground. But if the mass of the metal comprising the vehicle is substantial, that mass can simulate an earth ground reasonably well. And let's see here, it goes into a lot of other stuff here. So that would be a barefoot substitute if you want to do that in your house. Let me get to this other part. There's a lot in here. I'm not going to read the whole book. I'm just going to read a little bit. Okay. Okay, and this is chapter 14, the auto connection, earthing on the move. A truck stop is an unlikely setting for a scientific experiment, but one busy truck stop just north of Los Angeles along Interstate 5 was just that for a few days in February of 2000. Truckers who stopped there were approached by an enthusiastic trio of Clint Ober and two old friends, Corky and Kathy Downing. The three of them were busy enrolling long-haul drivers into a simple experiment. All the drivers had to do was to agree to sit on a 10 by 14 inch conductive seat pad connected by a wire to the metal frame under their seat. Installation would take less than 5 minutes. When they got into their next distant destination, the drivers were asked to write down if they felt any difference while driving with the seat pad, such as any change in tension, pain, or fatigue levels, and then mail in their comments with the provided self-addressed stamped envelope. Okay, he says, we believe that vehicular grounding in this manner would help ease stress and tension involved in long-distance driving. My wife was the first person to try the seat pad in her car. She didn't like driving at night. It made her nervous and raised her blood pressure. When she drove sitting on the seat pad, her blood pressure actually went down. She still uses it to this day. If you go into any truck stop and examine the counter near the registration, you will see a lot of over-the-counter pain pills and no-dose remedies. The truckers live on that stuff. They need them to keep awake and ease their driving stress. But they found that this actually works for these people. This actually works. And they'd rather sell them pills and make money off of these folks than to give them something natural that can alleviate this problem.
Right.
But as we talked about before, the problem is capitalism, which is a beast system that has to go and will go and is in the process of making its exodus from the planet. But that's pretty much what I wanted to tell you guys tonight. There's a whole lot more, but I think you guys got the gist of what I wanted to talk about.
I like this style. I like this type of topic or grouping of topics that each one is like a portal to a whole different world, but we touch on them and it stimulates. It gives you something to think about out of the norm of what we can be fed. I don't know if anybody has ever experienced this, but I'm not one really to surf just to surf. There'll be times when I look for music or I look for certain things, I'll surf that way when I have a purpose. But we find ourselves now these days, for those who watch television, because I know I really don't watch TV unless it's something that's gainful for me for a short time. But way back in the days when you had channel 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 21, 31, 41, and 47, if you could, to watch the boxing that came on, the Spanish boxing, right? When you had those handful of channels, there was, I'm not saying TV was good at any point, but I'm just saying it was a little more, you engaged more and you had a handful of channels. Yeah. Now you got a gazillion, how many other 4 and 5 and 6 and what potential in sports channels and all this stuff. And people are like, there's nothing to watch on TV. So when we activate our mind and go after topics like this, and we really see how much it is to have wonderment for the outside world to say, man, the natural world is such a thing that it just bedazzles you when you really allow yourself to get involved with it, as opposed to just this electronic world, what they offer. They pick things, they pick shows, they edit them, they put them out for you. Of course, a nature channel will stimulate you a little bit, but to go out in nature and read books about it, and like you said, you know, with your skin, you went out and you researched and you made your own stuff. I mean, you can empower yourself so much away from the TV, reading a book, having different topics, and then discussing about it. So for you to offer this up, I'm thinking of earthing, you know what I mean? And Goddess Code said something about it. I'm like, wow, I got to look into this. It's just so much to do naturally, you know? Yes. We live in a world that's replete with a natural treasure, or natural treasures. And these treasures have been bequeathed to us. And it's like me standing on the corner offering people gold nuggets, and they don't want them. Isn't that something? That's how it feels sometimes, because people have been desensitized to the miracles of this planet and their connectivity. They've lost their connectivity to the planet, and that therein lies the problems. All the problems we're facing. Like I mentioned before, this planet is our terrestrial mother, as I mentioned in the 5-part series I did on your show a couple weeks back, when Sheroes Ruled the World, where I actually proved
with scientific documentation that women were the first ones on the planet, and that they had the ability, and they still could possess that same, the latent ability to reproduce on their own. If you abuse this terrestrial mother that you call Mother Earth, then it's not a stretch for you to abuse her terrestrial representative in the person of women, females. You know,
great point.
They are the greatest representation on the planet, and they were the ones who were ruling the planet originally. And that's what we have to go. That's what we have to really go back to, and that's where we will go back to, because all of the when these patriarchal-minded, chauvinistic, misogynistic type men overthrew the matriarchy, as I described in that series, there was a core group that actually went underground, and there's a spiritual group that went underground, and then there was always a group that would blend in with the people on the surface. So there's a group that went underground, and there's also people that went underground but on the surface of the planet, and they just had to mask themselves and eventually reveal themselves at another time, and that's going to happen again. Because we deal with the cyclical nature of things when you deal with history, historical events, and we're going to swing back that way again.
That's right.
I know people don't see it, but that's where we have to go. Now, speaking of charcoal, I just thought about if you go to the Tanzanian coast, off the coast of the Tanzania, they have what they call the Spice Islands off the Tanzanian coast. And they have a monkey. I think it's called the red colobus monkey, the Zanzibar red colobus monkey, if I'm not mistaken. A large part of their diet consists of mango tree leaves and something else. But the mango tree leaves are full of protein, and they're also full of what they call phenol, PHENOL. And if they take that in high dosages, this actually poisons the monkey, but at the very least, they cause indigestion. So what does the monkey do to remedy that situation? The monkey knows that he needs to consume charcoal, and he gets the charcoal from the kilns or the ovens where it's made from cooking fires. That's why you see monkeys, stealing charcoal from kilns and cooking fires, as well as from stumps and trees that have been, charred when maybe pastures are burned. So they're not just being mischievous. They're doing that because they know that that's one of their remedies out of, one of many remedies that exist in the pharmacological world of their natural habitat. But charcoal, like I mentioned, it acts like a sponge. It soaks up toxic compounds and it safely removes them. And these monkeys, they consume like 7 grams a day. And this amount surprisingly closely corresponds to the recommended dose for humans who overdose on drugs or even poison, believe it or not. You even have those birds of Amazon, and those macaw birds, they go to the banks of this place in Peru. I think they call it the Tamil Parta River in Peru, TAMIL or TIMIL. Parta River in Peru, and that attracts hundreds of different Amazons and macaws. And what they do is they go to the banks of this river to eat red clay, not any type of clay, but a certain specific type of clay. And this protects them against the unwanted side effects from eating seeds and unripe fruit, because their natural diet is high in alkaloids like quinine and strychnine. Strychnine is poison, as well as tannic acids. And so the soil contains minerals which, like charcoal, binds to those toxins and removes them from the gut. So the animals know. So what do they know? That we consider ourselves to be a higher form of life. How can we be a higher form of life when we're going backwards and in opposition to nature? I would say that they're vastly superior to us.
Exactly.
In that respect. And, they call it geophagy. Earth eating or clay eating. It's one of the most common natural prescriptions in the animal world. Okay? One of the most common. But all of our solutions are right here on this planet. And of course, we got this wild animal running rampant with his fear-based tactics. And people are seeing through that mess now. And unfortunately, some people are not seeing through it because they need guidance, and there's so much guidance available now. But this topic, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this was because sometimes people explain this to others, maybe older people or younger people, and they don't see the benefit, and they may speak about it in more general terms and not really break down the science. But the people nowadays, millennials, they want to hear the science. They want to hear how things work. And if you want to move them, you have to be scientific, and you have to speak their language. So you can't just give them fluff. You can't come to them with no Christianity and no Jesus. Although some of them still believe in that stuff, but you have to give them cold, hard facts. Otherwise, they don't really see the value. Because I saw a guy in Africa. He was doing a great job at explaining how important nature was to the people, but he was explaining it in general terms, and they thought it was just a joke. The people that were listening to him. There were some Africans listening to an African elder, and he was talking to them in general terms. But I said, well, what impact would that make? I'm sure he made an impact on a lot of them, but a lot of them thought it was just funny. And I said to myself, what impact would he make if he could really give them the science in terms of to really connect them to the planet, So that's why I explained it in this way instead of in that way. Not that that's a bad way, but this is just my way, and my way is not the only way, but it's just a way. And when you're using, when it comes to getting to a certain or arriving at a certain end result, you have to use a multitude of tactics. You can't be a one-trick pony. You have to use everything at your disposal to get to the promised land. If you're in a fight, you're going to pick up everything and anything to be successful in that fight.
Yep.
No such thing as a fair fight. And there's no such thing as a fair fight in this either. I'll use any tool at my disposal. I'll lie to get our people to the promised land. If I need to lie, I'll do that.
For real.
But I don't think so. I think the truth is, I think I use the truth. The truth is more than they can handle. But there's so many different treasures in nature people really, really need to know. Like, for example, what is the thing that can eliminate hemorrhaging? Like if somebody is hemorrhaging or a woman is hemorrhaging from heavy menses or childbirth, what is the one thing that stops this bleeding in seconds? What is the element on this planet that if you're shot and have a gunshot wound with 2 exit points that can actually stop the bleeding? What is the element on this planet that can eliminate frostbitten feet scheduled for amputation? What can eliminate that? What is the element on this planet that could allow someone with a detached retina and, say, macular degeneration to end up not requiring any type of laser surgery? The person with the frostbitten feet scheduled for amputation, no amputation necessary. The person with, failed organs scheduled for transplant. There's nothing else we can do, Mr. XYZ, Mr. John Doe. There's nothing we can do, Miss John Doe. You're scheduled for an organ transplant, and there is an element on this planet that could eliminate the need for an organ transplant and actually regenerate your organs. No such surgery necessary. This element has revived people from the dead, literally. If you want to consider a person dead, if they have had a stroke and they're in a state of what they call, when they're blue slate colored from a heart attack, unconscious, stone cold blue from a heart attack, and you can revive them, that's raising somebody from the dead. There's an element on this planet that can do that. There's an element that can eliminate a lot of the trauma from injuries that are not caused by trauma, but by, the doctors themselves. And what is this element that can do that everybody should know about? That element is called cayenne pepper.
Yes.
Cayenne pepper can do that. If you know somebody gets shot with, and you want to stop them from bleeding, if you pack those wounds with cayenne pepper, the bleeding will stop. Wow. If a woman is hemorrhaging from heavy menses, from childbirth, this will stop the bleeding in seconds. Same with frostbite and same with all these other things that I mentioned. But the way cayenne pepper works is a good analogy would be just like when the supplies in, let's say in a war, like let's say the Korean War, when the supplies in the North Korean War were blocked, and they couldn't get those help their troops fighting in South Korea, mm-hmm. then this works the same way because when blood can't be supplied to the affected area, there's no healing that can occur. And this thing really works with blood. It really works by stimulating the flow of blood. And if you know anything about healing, healing occurs when blood flow is allowed to flow freely. And this thing is kind of like the, if you want to call it the car or the vehicle that drives the elements where they need to go, as opposed to being the actual, say, cure, if you want to use that word. Like, for example, if you use garlic pills have been known to eliminate or reduce or thin the blood. But garlic, in conjunction with cayenne pepper, as opposed to thinning the blood in 3 months, can do it in less than a month. Wow. With this. So there's all these things available. I would even highly recommend people get a book called Curing with Cayenne and Its Herbal Partners. When I started referring people to that book, they started jacking the price up. I knew one girl, she was scheduled to get surgery for heart because, she had a heart murmur. But from my reading and research into the miracles of cayenne pepper, I found out that people that are born with natural heart disorder, born with heart disorders or heart murmurs, they could even be, that could actually be remedied with cayenne pepper. But the name of the book is Curing with Cayenne and Its Herbal Partners. I got that book, and they started jacking the price up. I don't know what the price is now, but it was about $30. It's well worth it. If you didn't have any other book on your shelf, I would have that one book.
And that's something
for healing purposes.
Dr. King had mentioned that he stopped a man from having a heart attack with cayenne pepper.
I know people that have stopped having. I know that if you have a stroke. After the stroke, it can alleviate the downsides that come with a stroke, like paralysis. That can happen after a stroke. If you administer it quickly enough after the stroke, it can eliminate those negatives, and it could eliminate a heart attack if you're in the process of having one. If you're in the process of having one, and you take a drink of cayenne pepper, the right amount, then it could stop your heart attack right on the spot. I know a guy that actually happened to. Yep. So there's all this information that's available, and nobody's telling you about it. But now I wanted to get this information out because it's time for African people to reconnect to the planet and to stop looking at the European as if they have the highest of the high and the best of the best. Right. Because it's funny, when I talk to a lot of Africans, they think or they equate, and I'm not just picking on Africans, us over here too. We equate civilization with big buildings. Oh, we have big buildings too. So what? Oh, we have malls over here too. So what? Right. I don't care about your damn malls. Take me to the damn country. Take me to the bush. That's what I'm interested in. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to know about. If I want to go into the city, I'll go into any big city in America. What's the point? And just because you're wearing these beautiful wingtip shoes, that makes you civilized?
Exactly.
It's so civilized, and they have all these degenerative diseases, all these dental caries. They found out when they were exploring different parts of the planet, all these indigenous populations, these beautiful black people and these beautiful Mexican people, and these beautiful other indigenous people around the planet have the most perfect set of teeth. Mm-hmm. And then after they introduced them to quote unquote civilization,
that was a wrap,
which is really cultural barbarism, which is what it really is. Mm-hmm. Civilized barbarism. Once they introduced that, then all of the everything went down. The morals went down. The health standards went down. Everything went down because that's the type of people we're dealing with. But those books I mentioned, I would highly recommend those for everybody in the listening audience. And now that the information is out, and of course they can't get this information in school. They'll never get this in school. Never, ever.
Never.
Why don't they teach this in school? These type of simple truths. You know, what time is it?
It's 1:32, but we've been on for 2 hours and 16 minutes. When I said 1:32, that's okay. Eastern time. Oh, I'm not,
Eastern time.
I'm
okay.
not rushing you, brother. This is good stuff.
Oh, I'm not rushing either. I would like to keep going. I know I just have to get up in the morning.
Oh, no. But,
well,
no. On that, no, we don't want to take away from your day, man. Because you can always come back. You can always come back tomorrow, the next day after, whenever. I'm a phone call away. So, we don't mind.
I'm not done talking about the planet. I got a lot to say about the planet. Okay, I have a lot.
Empty your tank,
I have
brother.
a lot to give you guys in other.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have a lot to give you guys. But I hope the audience enjoyed this message. I tried to stay on topic. Hope I didn't get off topic too much.
No. I mean, the overall was about us and in this planet and relating to all things natural that we may not be aware of. So it could never be
science behind it.
Right. It could never be a miss. This particular episode will be valuable for many decades to come. Because this is not the typical thing that we are that's shared with us. I mean, we can't even cut a TV show on and get this straight with no commercials. You know what I mean? Just straight information.
Right.
They would break this episode up into 10 parts, man. And water that down with commercials. So we go straight.
Well, I felt that it could be it's definitely of benefit to everybody in the listening audience.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
I don't see how it could not benefit them, and then just wait till I have to tell them what I have to tell them in future episodes. I mean, how many shows have I done? I've done probably 12 or 15 shows, but I still haven't gotten to what I want to tell you guys.
Right. But see, with your kind of mind, brother, it's always going to be that way where you never feel like you've gotten it all out, because as you're sharing what you researched and studied over the years, you're still researching and studying now. So you're a vessel that just keeps on going. So you'll always be able to pass on the information, but you'll never be able to pass on everything. And even when we could never get to learn everything on the planet at this very minute if we froze everything. But since you're a constant researcher and have a constant great curiosity for the world, you'll never empty yourself out. There will always be stuff that you say, hey, I'm thinking about this, you read this, and you can talk about it, So I'm not saying it like a discouraging thing. It's an encouraging thing, but it never ends. So don't think in this journey it'll ever end. Like even to me, as a person who draws as an artist, and which you do the same thing too. I think I told you this before, that I think one of the most beautiful things was that they found, not that they found him dead, but they found an artist that had collapsed. And I think it was like 86 years old. He had collapsed in a studio, and the pencil was near him, but what they saw on the pad on the table was that he was drawing, he was sketching, and he held on to his pencil as he began to fall off the table. So he transitioned doing what he loved to the very end. And that particular picture that he did went for so much money, and the family would never sell it. They kept offering, because it spoke volumes about how we're supposed to live our life. He was pursuing it to the last minute, but many of us live life fearing this thing called death, which we don't die, we transition. So it's going to happen. Why arrest your entire life fearing something that's going to happen, that when it happens, you're going to say, you know what, that wasn't bad. Because where did we come from before? We came here crying, and we were like, okay, but we came from somewhere. Now that we're here, it was scary at one point. Now we don't want to let this go. There are different levels. Just transition, go to the end with every ounce of strength of breath. This is what I love to do. Hey, I'm not trying to predict my future, but I would love to transition doing what I do. Maybe I might knock the computer over and you know what I mean? I might be drawing a picture, whatever. Me too.
This is the way I want to, but this show is one of many well springs of knowledge that I drink from. Though, not the primary source. I get information from all different different sources, you know.
Indeed.
And I like to be one of those brothers who's known as one who boldly goes where no man's gone before.
There you go.
I like to delve into areas that nobody goes into, not to be special, but because nobody's talking about these relevant things. You know, different people talk about different things, and that's cool. But you know, and I'm not trying to be like anybody else. I'm just covering what I consider myself to be a person that dispenses medicine in the proper dosage, in the proper amount, to people that actually need it.
Right, but you're doing an excellent job, and your very makeup, the way you sound, the way you talk, the intensity, you're made for this because you command. You know, it's not just the sound of your voice, but it's the energy behind it. We being energy beings, you have a phenomenal look. If you were in the class, and again, you're the substitute teacher that everybody loves, but you're not just a substitute teacher. None of the students would do anything bad because they would be so captivated by your sharing and teaching style. You know what I mean? There's just some teachers in school that say, "Oh, I don't believe in go there. I don't like the guy, whatever." But you're the one that's so cool that you feel relaxed around and say, "Hey, let me ask you this, let me ask you that," and you're the one who's very approachable. That many of the students would come to you if they had issues of any kind, or even as a counselor. You know, I mean, you have that kind of presence, and there's no doubting what you bring. Nobody says, "Well, I don't know what this guy's saying." I mean. You can almost literally, I'd have to say, tell a lie, and folks would absorb it because you have such a credibility about you, but you don't have that kind of makeup, you know? I mean, con men would love to have your energy because it's like, yeah, I could trust this guy, believe what he's saying. But you back it up. You know, you give me the links and stuff with what you say and back it up. But, you know, it's phenomenal, and I really appreciate you for doing what you do, man. You know, again, I'm the platform, but you're the meal on the plate. I'm just the plate, man. You know, you have your own.
We work synergistically.
Yes,
there's a synergy. You know, there's a symbiosis. You know, there's a symbiotic relationship. You know how when you look at some of those nature programs and you have one animal that is, let's say, one of those bulls, and the bull has one of those. Animals that's hitching a ride on him, but he's actually benefiting from from traveling on the bull, and the bull allows him to sit on his ear and basically peck his to remove the parasites from his ears. That's the type of, not that we're parasites or we're
I know what you mean.
We just have symbiosis. There's a symbiotic relationship, you know, that one exists with together. They both exist one with the other, you know. So there's a synergy here that we're creating too, and that's good. But yeah, I'm not done with talking about nature. There's some other things that you guys really need to know.
Wow, can't wait, brother.
And then other topics too. I mean, unrelated to this. In a way, it's all related because, in a sense, everything is related and not, you know. But I wonder how many people are from other. I guess people from all over the world listening. Huh?
Yeah, let's get a roll call, everybody. Let's share where we're from, city, state, country. You want to give a shout out to the ancestors, a shout out to an old hometown, anywhere you're connected to. Do it now, so this adds a little icing onto an already nutritious and beautiful cake. Okay, so we got, of course, Andre, Las Vegas. Boy, you're quick with the keyboard. You're the first one. Ella G said Earth. That's a start. Oh, we got Florida, Seattle, Washington, Dallas. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Philly in the house. Samiko from North Carolina. Houston, Texas, of course. I think.
Okay.
South Africa, originally from Lesotho, LA in the house, Los Angeles, all the way up to South Africa, huh? DC, San Antonio, Memphis, Tennessee. All these places that I'd like to travel to one day. Yes. Dallas, Texas. I said Seattle, Washington.
Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, Rancho Cucamonga, California. Little Rhodey, Maryland. I think I said Dallas already. Yeah, New Orleans, lives in San Antonio. I'm from Kenya, but living in Bavaria, Germany. Cali.
Bavaria, Germany.
Yeah.
Wow.
From Kenya, but living in Bavaria. Yeah. That's a heck of a journey.
Oh.
That's a heck of an interesting story.
I talked about Germany and I think I talked a little bit about Bavaria in the video I did on Nazi Germany and the Polarity War.
Exactly. So you see how it all ties in. Yes.
I have another book. I have a book that I wrote about that. I haven't released it, but
yes. Yeah. General Ty on Periscope watching. We got to get you back on, bro.
Okay.
Yes. He's a light worker. New York.
That's great. New York.
Of course, we said Cali already.
Wow.
Let me see. Yes, New York again. Georgia. Wow. Toronto.
That's probably Auntie Wanjugu. I think she said she lived in the Bavaria.
Yes.
I remember that name.
Yes, from Kenya. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. That was her. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Good memory. Ty Majestic, love you too, brother.
That's probably a Nigerian name, Wanjugu.
Mm-hmm. Goddess Code, DMV area. I was just up there twice this year. Yes, love it. Over there by the Everlasting Life
I hope they
restaurant.
truly enjoyed it. I hope that more people hear it and enjoy it.
Chicago. Yes. That place where Barack Obama's from. Big ears and all. Chicago.
Yeah, and Bobby Rush.
Yeah, right?
That clown.
New York City.
A clown, yeah.
Again. Yes. A lot of New Yorkers out here. What parts of New York are you from? Those are from New York. Oh, yeah. Goddess Code. Everlasting Life is so great. Yes. I don't know if you saw the videos from when I was up there in January. And when else did I go up there? Was it February or March or something like that? Yeah, I went up there twice. Upper Marlboro. Yeah, Auntie Wanjugu said it's a Kikuyu name. Harold Johnson from Brooklyn.
Oh, what type of name is that?
Let me scroll up. I don't want to jack it up. Kikuyu. Kikuyu.
I've heard that before. Kikuyu.
Yeah, Kikuyu.
Kikuyu. I've heard that before.
Goddess Code. Really? That's what you said? Oh, so were you there in person, Goddess, or did you just see it on YouTube and you saw that we were there and it kind of that's interesting. It's interesting to find how people found the channel. Billy Felder, Hempstead, New York. Yes, indeed, my brother. You're a trooper, Billy. You right here with us.
Hempstead, New York.
Yeah, he's got the
Hempstead, New York. That's the place where those kids were abused.
Yeah.
Hempstead. I think I heard about those kids in Hempstead, New York. They were the little boy, little girl. They were talking about how they were molested and forced to engage in cannibalism in New York.
Right. We got one more from Baltimore. Yes, Goddess. I remember we spoke about that when you missed, and then you saw us on YouTube. Yeah. I love it right there in Maryland in that part there, and it was nice. It was nice. I just liked it.
Maryland?
I know a lot goes on up there just like anywhere else, but I found like a little nugget right there by the Everlasting Life vegan restaurant. With Dr. Baruch there. Me and Dr. Kang were there. I went up a second time.
Yeah.
Came down from Cleveland, went over there, and there's a little hotel in the plaza that's walking distance. And I went there because I knew we were going to be around the restaurant a lot because Sherazad Ali was going to speak there, and I thought I was going to get a chance to videotape her.
Sherazad Ali? Oh, she's one of my heroes.
I met her there. And
one of my heroes.
Yeah, one of the funny parts about it is that, at the last minute, she said she didn't want any cameras on her. And no, I respected that, but she didn't tell me directly. She said that to Dr. Baruch for everybody. Like, we don't want cell phone footage. We don't want nothing. So it wasn't me personally, but, just to meet her briefly on the way out, it was cool. And the funny part about it is I was sitting out there, with one of our people who follow us and whatnot. We were sitting out in the car right in front of the hotel. Mr. SCURV went to sleep. And guess who came out again from the same hotel? Shahrazad Ali.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, she is. I love her brain, man. Her brain is just very intelligent woman.
Oh yeah, way she breaks things down. But you know, sometimes
the way she breaks stuff down, and she always has a quick response. Too.
Yes. She's really of a short stature. I knew she was on TV, but I met her. I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? You know,
you met her actually.
Yeah. I mean, she aged a bit and you know, put a little weight on, whatever. And I think that's one of the reasons why. I mean, I'm not here to blow her up like that. No venom. I'm just saying, you know, like sometimes we have a little image thing going on, and I said, okay, she's a little different now, you know. But we all age. I mean, I know I have. She's a beautiful woman, though. No, even now still, and even her spirit, you know, even her spirit, beautiful spirit. But you can't run. I can tell you, I didn't get a chance to talk to her like that. I just thanked her for her contribution to the world and our people. But you get the feeling when you meet her, it's like you can't run no game on this woman. I don't care who you are. You better come clean.
No, no, she's too wise. I'd love to see more women teachers like her, though.
Yes,
that's what we really need. We need more women. Women were the original teachers anyway. So and it's really time for them to come back to the fore and assume their proper place.
We got Portland, Oregon
planetary
here.
Hegemon.
Portland, Oregon. Yeah, 954. Yes, Brother Raw. One love. That's right. It's amazing. It's just nice. That we can. It really is. I always say this, but it's really nice that we all can connect on one accord like this. And I really have to thank everybody who's here, because I see other chat rooms and I don't really go surfing around, but sometimes I'll watch a show or try to check out a topic on what, you know, thinking it's going to be something intelligent, and it is, but you see the chat room just at each other's necks and name calling and fighting and all. And I was like, oh man, at least we, you know, and we often disagree on different points here, but it's not like we fight. And you have the occasional troll who just comes out swinging, and you just got to get rid of them. But it really is a pleasure. It makes it, yeah, you know. Yeah.
But like I said, the other brother that was on there, he wasn't a troll. He was just confused. Like many of us have been confused, but his heart is in the right place from what I picked up. Just confused in a sandwich. In a ideological sandwich.
Right. It's
trapped in another man's dogma. You get trapped in another man's dogma, and they put you into an ideological box. That's what you don't want to be. You don't control that box. We want to be free flowing, you know.
Exactly. That's when you can speak from the heart. You know.
Right. Yeah.
Let things flow.
Nobody owns me. Nobody controls me. I can say what I want to say.
Right. But when you're on the defensive, you can't express yourself properly. You know what I mean? We have someone here from Brazil.
Brazil.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bahia, Salvador, Brazil. I hope I pronounced it right.
Bahia? Oh,
Bahia.
okay.
Yeah, I said Bahia, right? It shows you how much I know.
Our brothers and sisters in Bahia, they need this information too. This is critical information, not because it's coming from me.
Yes.
But because it's information that restores our connectivity to the planet.
That's right. Someone asked
I'm just the messenger. That's it.
Someone asked you, can you talk about our connection to the sun? And whenever you want to sign off, brother, sign off. I'm not rushing you off. No, because I can hang till the sun comes up. The sun will come back and say, "Hey, were you still up? You waiting for me?"
I have a lot about our connection to the sun, but just to keep it real short.
Before you say that, we got London in the house. Go ahead.
You know, everything on the planet has an ebb and a flow, or you have the contraction and expansion. Like when you breathe in, inhale, you exhale, you expand and contract. You have the planet that's also varies in terms of its size or its mileage, because it also expands and contracts. It's not just a static planet. And you have this thing called expansion and contraction that happens on this planet, and you also have, you know, as what they say, as above, so below. You have the law of correspondence. Things that happen here happen elsewhere.
I'm going to run to the restroom real quick, brother. I'll be right back. Cells. Give me 2 minutes.
Okay.
Keep talking.
I'm just answering her question. You have a cellular structure that eventually a cell just dissipates and explodes. So that also expands. And the same thing happens with the universe and the sun. The sun is one of those, it's, how can I say this? It's a result of expansion and contraction, because when you think of a Big Bang, there's no such thing as a single Big Bang, because a Big Bang is one of a series of Big Bangs. And whenever you have a Big Bang, you have different parts of this universe that expand and contract, and they bump into other parts of the universe, and it's kind of a long story, but yes, we are connected to the sun, very connected to the sun, and we are children of the sun. I'll just keep it right there for now. But I think Brother Lance left me here. He kind of abandoned me. But I do hope you guys enjoyed everything. Hope you enjoyed the show. And let's see here. I'm going to try to get to the website. I can't see anybody. Where are we? I want to see the artwork that Lance did for us. I said I wanted to get to the artwork. I'll check it out tomorrow.
Oh, it's a simple banner
right now.
It's a simple banner, real simple. You know, just something to. Since you spoke about nature, I wanted to have the airiness, the clouds, the grass, a little tree. We need to see stuff like that, where you know, even for our eyesight and the way it makes us feel. We need to feel, this is going to sound weird, but we need to feel small in creation sometimes. With the big buildings around us and the crowds, so much on us. When I look at this picture and you see the ground meeting the sky, which it doesn't really touch, but it's the illusion of it, over the horizon, we need to feel that sometime. I know when I went to Ghana, I felt that. I mean, we're looking so far, and it's like, this place is vast. And it just gave me a feeling that when I got inside the hotel room and went to sleep, I just curled up. I'm like, man, it's a big world out there. I'm so glad they have this little corner. You need to see that sometime. Just not just to smell or to see a storm or to see this or the birds, but to see how vast this planet is. And it puts you in place. It was the same sensation as when you go up in a plane and you look down over your city as it gets smaller and smaller. And you're like, wait a second. So these, I hate to use the word problems, but I'll use it. But these problems I have, are they really that important to stress me out like they do? I'm not saying that because I don't let nothing stress me out. But I could imagine somebody saying that, or not even consciously saying it, but feeling that. So we need to put ourselves, it's the same feeling when you walk alongside the beach and you're not really ready. You just say, let's go to the beach. But you get there and you walk for miles along the shore and the sand. You know how when you stand there and the sand comes from down under your feet and sinks down a little bit, and to feel that openness. And then you say to yourself, why don't I do this more often? You get so caught up in the matrix and you say to yourself, not just that, but the forest, the woods, you know, riding your bike on a long road, whatever it is that takes you away. You know, we often say this to ourselves, like, why don't we do this more? But the world sometimes pulls us back in, which is not good, you know, and that world never gives us anything lasting or that good feeling that you had sometimes when you were a kid and you played from sun up to sundown and still didn't want to come in. But then you came in and maybe one of your family members bought a watermelon and cut it. And you're like eating it. And you're like, I got to go to bed. I'm tired, but this melon feels good. I got to eat another piece. You know, sensory things like that, sensuous and sensory experiences like that on this plane. Enjoy them. They're there for you to enjoy. Yes. You know? And our mental health would be so much better.
Yep. And we're going to, when we leave this place, we will expire and we will assume a different vibrational state.
Yes.
Because energy can't be destroyed or created. It just assumes a different state. And like I was talking about earlier, everything is in a process of transformation, if you want to call it evolving or evolution, transmutation. Everything is changing. all the time. And just because we're in this state does not mean we're going to be in the same state when we assume, or when we go to the next dimension.
Exactly.
Everything is about vibration.
Exactly.
Everything has different vibratory rates. So that's what the universe is all about. It's all about transmutation. And the person had a question about the sun and how we are related to the sun. And didn't want to go off into a long tangent because I can't stay up for too late.
Right.
But I was trying to explain just briefly that we are all related to the sun, and how the things that happen on this planet and that happen at the most infinitesimally small level within your body, even at the cellular level, and even beyond that, on up to the macrocosmic level, at the level of the universe. What happens in the universe happens at the infinite level inside of your body too, at the infinitely small level inside of your body. So we are a reflection of the universe. The universe has a lot of empty spaces, if you want to say that. We have empty spaces, and if you look at us with an electron microscope, you will find that we have empty spaces. The universe has, just like the many universes in our bodies called atoms have an atomic structure where the electrons supposedly go around the nucleus. Well, we have the same thing with the sun. So we are, originally everything was generated from not just that sun, but from all suns. Mm-hmm. Because when you look at the suns, they have, just to give you guys a little chemistry lesson, the sun has what they call solar flares, and the solar flares are constantly being, you hear what they call them sun flares, or those solar bursts, mm-hmm. where you see all of this chaotic activity, well, seemingly chaotic activity on the surface of the sun, and it's always spewing and emanating this debris, and this debris eventually cools, and once it cools, it can find its way around and starts to orbit the sun, just like this planet and other planets started to orbit the sun, and eventually, when they cool off, they become what they call a quote unquote solar system, mm-hmm. and those things are constantly happening. So eventually, ultimately, we all came from one place, and we are children of the sun. We came originally from this universe. If you want to say it's just the sun, yeah, we came from the sun. But even before that, we came from another source. But we've always existed. We don't have a birth record.
Right.
We have no birth record. So, and when you think about those big bangs, the big bang that created this bang, that created the sun, was the result of another bang and a series of innumerable chain reactions that came before that. But ultimately, we came from the same source. And it's, like I mentioned, it's all about transmutation, all about transformation, because everything is constantly being transformed and it's constantly being transmuted. And this universe is nothing but it's the quintessence of alchemy. It's the quintessence of a perpetual alchemical mm-hmm. Reaction, or alchemical set of processes that go on into perpetuity. They never stop.
Yes,
it's just really something to grapple with and to wrap your mind around when you think about it. Mm-hmm. But you think about the law of correspondence. Everything that happens on this planet happens in the heavens too.
That's right.
And that's a fact.
It's a reflection.
So yeah, we are children of the sun, and I'm going to talk a lot about that.
Yes. Looking forward to it.
A lot about that.
Yes.
Because we need to know where we came from. And I'll give you the receipts. You need to have the receipts to know. Now, this is not going to be speculation. Because a lot of people say things that are philosophical and they sound nice and it's conjecture, you can't really, prove it. But there's a lot of things that you can prove, and I'll stick with what I can prove. Mm-hmm. Because nobody really talks about that. Where did we actually come from? We'll see.
That's right. That's right.
And where did they come from? Detail. Facts. So, but enough of me waxing philosophical tonight.
It's been great, brother.
Obviously,
there's no complaints.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's always fun. I never want to get off these shows, but I got more. I got more people. That's how they say with the Bugs Bunny thing. That's all, folks. Well, that's not all, folks. I got more.
Wow.
And hopefully, I've stimulated the creative juices or the mental, philosophical juices, theoretical juices in the minds of especially the youth. No shade on the older folks, but especially the youth. That's the future.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
They're the inheritors of this.
We're the foundation, but others were the foundation for us when we were younger. So it's just a never-ending cycle. And I relish my positioning. I never thought, it's a shock sometimes when you see a younger guy who, he might even be 25 and he sees me and, hey, sir, excuse me, mister. And I forget, like, wow. I'm a mister to him. You know what I mean? I'm almost 60 years old. I'm a mister to him,
Yep.
Here people in the public got to respect my elders.
That's right.
What elder do you see? And it's like, you. Oh, I forgot. It's a passing of the torch, but I embrace it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You probably got somebody else coming on here too, then.
Huh? Oh, you mean tonight?
Mm-hmm.
You know my energy, right? No, this will probably be it tonight.
Man,
I say that, right? I say that.
Never.
You don't underestimate it.
Just like that brother that, man, I don't know what to say about you, man.
Like when we spoke earlier, well, I left a message for you earlier.
And I know, I feel it in myself. I know when you're sleeping, I'm like, oh, he needs to sleep. I'm not going to call him. I know he's sleeping. I know when you're sleeping.
Possibly. I mean, I do
shows. I'm like, oh, he's sleeping. He's probably sleeping now.
But a lot of times,
not always, but I know.
Yeah. I put my sleep in. I get some sleep, but it's just that I work it to the end, and from when I wake up, I'm right on it. Something's in my mind. Because like I said, when I worked on those TV shows, The People's Court, crossing over John Edwards, I saw how these people were grinding. And even though I never worked on Montel's show, his show was a floor below crossing over John Edwards. So the accountants and the staff and some of the producers, I was there as a security guy, not some guy with a uniform on, undercover. They were cops that worked with me, and there was a lot of threats and stuff like that. So I was one of the regular guys that had the look. And we used to be by the front desk on crossing over, and that was on 55th Street. And crossing over with John Edwards, I don't know if anybody remembers that from like 20, 21 years ago, right around in that point. But he was a guy who can speak with the dead, so-called. So there was a lot of controversy. There were a lot of religious groups that wanted to actually do things to him, like kill him and threaten him. So where the producers were, it was down the block on 55th Street between, I think, 10th and 11th. And I think it was 10th Avenue where the actual studio where the people went. So they never told the address, but they still had security. They still had one cop working with me, and I was sitting behind the desk as a receptionist there. And it was a hangout job. But Montel's show, his producers were below, one floor below, and they worked on both jobs. I mean, some accountants would have part-time work with Montel, and some accountants from Montel would have part-time work up at crossing over John Edwards. So in essence, it was a one big happy family. So when it was time to go and wrap it down, a lot of them would hang out in Manhattan, and I guess I was the cool, strong black guy, you know what I mean, to hang out with them. But they were cool though. They were cool. There were some black folks that worked there, and I didn't drink, but they had their vouchers where, no matter how late we hung out, they would put you in a cab and you'd go straight to your house because you wouldn't want to drive out there that time of night. So that was cool. We might hang out from 11 to like 3:30, 4 sometime. And then see you tomorrow. And it was cool. So I learned a lot, not knowing that at that particular time to pick up the things that I didn't think I needed, overhearing these producers and the little details. And I'm a detail man. And I was, oh, wow, I still had the same mind. But at that point, I never knew that I'd be able to use that information when making this little show on YouTube. You know what I mean? The attention to detail that they focused on. Like, say, for example, if there was an animal rights group coming into town and John Edwards would not wear leather, just in case they were coming to watch the show and different things. And they'd give them a more youthful look if they had like college, you know, colleges emptied out for spring break and they're coming into the city to attract them in. They would get, and they would have topics, even though it was the same thing, talking to dead people. They may bend it in a way to attract those people, the younger folks. And so I would sit there by the desk and hear these producers damn near argue. And they weren't hateful, but they were debating. No, I think it should be this way. Let his hair go to the left. No, we need to lighten it up and make it more sandy. No, make it more brown. He doesn't need to wear this. I think it's a piece of crap that he's wearing. And, you know, being around Harvey Levin in the street when I was working at the People's Court, which I met Judge Mulan lots of times when we would go up, but we were in the street. And so I was around him a lot, watching him talk to these Hollywood bigwigs who were dressed down. And I would overhear little things. You'd hear him mention a name. You're trying to ear hustle. Yeah, so and so Madonna. Yeah. So and so Jay-Z. You know, and I'm like, wait a second. What? So with him and TMZ and being able to get on information, these guys are on it. And I will say, we know Harvey Levin has got a limp wrist, and we know he's a Jew, but he works. I gotta say, I mean, I see him hop in a limo. And get to Newark Airport to get back to LA. You know, times that he wouldn't stay in the city, and then somehow on a flight, he'd come back the next day in the middle of the day on another flight. He'd fly so many hours and then come back. And then he would shoot certain episodes and change his shirt. So sometimes I would do that. I would tell Mr. SCURV, I'm like, listen, I'm going over to the park. I got to take 2 or 3 days off. I'm going to shoot 5 or 6 videos and spread them out over 3 days because I need to focus these 3 days. And I would still do shows, but to have something else that was in the sun or whatever have you, you change your shirt. You don't know. You have the same shirt. I do that sometime though. I'll wear the same shirt and I forgot it, whatever. But I keep things with me. I learned a lot of little tricks with these guys. And overhearing
that was good for you.
Yeah. It was
very beneficial.
Yeah. It was like, you know, you're being there, and I knew a lot of the guys on the set, even though we were outside, they had the guy who would do just the colors. So they had this big apparatus that he would put this cover over his head and, you know, just tweak the coloring and everything like that. And Harvey would wait in the back, and they would have 2 or 3 pretty girls out there on the sidewalk. Would you like to watch an episode of the People's Court TV show? Now, mind you, hard New Yorkers are like, I don't want to see that. But old senior citizens from Wisconsin or somewhere, some hick town from Wichita Falls, I want to see. So you end up watching a 15-minute segment that with commercials ended up being 30 minutes. And then after watching it, he would come out and ask the questions, and they would take what was up in the court and blend it with, you know, join it with what was in the street, which was shot on a different day. They made it seem like it was live. Let's see what's going on the streets, whatever. Nah. It was fused together. It was edited in together, you know. So it was
that was part of your apprenticeship.
Yeah, exactly.
That was part of your training. You didn't know it. You didn't know it, but you kind of knew it, but you didn't.
Exactly. Yeah. I know that
you didn't
everything,
know fully.
Right. That things that come my way, that that I know it's always for a reason, even if I don't know. That's one thing I've learned to trust in. You know, it was really something for me. I just want to say I'm
very beneficial.
I'm watching the chat room. I'll let you go in a second. A beautiful bronze goddess said it got us cold. I can see all kind of evil entities. These entities and ships cloak themselves in the clouds. People should look up more often. The sky is trying to tell us a story. I'm gonna tell you something about that.
They do.
You know,
they do.
When I was driving the bus, I just recently stopped, but many years ago, when I was down in it, you know, I was on the 37 route in Orlando, which probably doesn't mean much to anybody, but I remember, you know, you have high winds and you have low winds, and the lower winds, let's just say, were blowing to the east hard, and there was this huge cloud, and there were other clouds, but there was this huge rounded, and I don't mean round, you know, just like a circular cloud, like a flat pizza, but it was darker than most. And the low winds were blowing toward the east, but that cloud was moving toward the west slowly. And I'm telling you, I know it in my heart. You can't tell me anything different. It began to get a little dark, but I can see that that cloud was cloaking something. So when she said that, I gotta say that I know this for a fact. And did I see the edge of a ship? No, I didn't see that. But you knew there was something behind there, and that's how they moved this big thing. And I said to myself, I know the government has something to do with this, and they're moving this spaceship, and they have to cloak it in the cloud because this thing it was solid, the clouds, but it was moving against all wind. It was going the opposite way. It was going west. It was going northwest, and the winds were going straight east. So I would like to, Goddess Code, Nay, and Beautiful Brown's Goddess, please reach out to me. I would like to talk about this on the show, if you don't mind sharing your voice. You know, we all have different levels of anonymity, and I respect that.
That's very interesting.
I would like to talk about that. Yeah, and other things that I've experienced, but I want to have one of those shows where we all chime in and call in and speak about our experiences. So, you know, my phone number, I'll put it out there. Throw me a text if you can. I'm always private with everybody's numbers. I don't give anybody's number out unless they tell me to do so. But there's my phone number and my email address, and I want to put that together. I think that'll be a very interesting and necessary show.
That'll be an excellent show.
Especially when it's rumored. Even
let's talk about those types of things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, they're talking about alien invasions.
I talk about some of those things, and
you know.
Oh, we're gonna talk a lot more about aliens. I got a lot to talk about that.
Oh yeah, yeah. We touched.
And I forgot to tell. I did mention. I touched on that in Nazi Germany and the Polarity War in some detail, and I did provide a lot of proof. Remember?
Yes. We spoke about Tesla and that connection. Yeah.
Yeah. Nikola Tesla. Yeah, I gave a lot of facts in that video. That would be a video if you guys want to watch that.
Wow. Even Harold Johnson, you know, throw me a text or a call, a text. I get so many calls. And I had a bunch of unknown and blocked numbered calls today, and I usually don't pick those up. As soon as I picked it up, I got called all kind of niggas, and oh God, it was almost hilarious. Like, is that the only word in your vocabulary? You know what I mean? Yeah, and I've seen, all of us who are interested, even if you hear this afterward, let's set up a show. I can do it within a few days. Tomorrow's a little busy. I got shows going tomorrow, but Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, in any one of those days, whatever's best for you. If you say, hey, let's just do it next weekend. Okay, if that's good for you, night or day, whenever, just let me know. I want to talk about that and for all. And I'll probably put like a little advertisement out looking to talk about these things in detail on a higher level, you know, and let's see where we go. And there are people out here now who a couple of screws are missing and they want to talk about it, but they're adding in and making stuff up and it's imaginary. But I know myself what I've seen, and I know that many of us here who especially vibrate on a higher level, we've seen these things too. But brother, get some sleep, man.
Yes.
Get some sleep. You get some sleep, man. Get some sleep.
Yeah. I'm going to get out of here, but I did promise the people that I would tell them about insomnia and how to cure insomnia.
Yeah.
Or how to eliminate insomnia. And I'm going to tell you guys real quick because I totally forgot. And some of the topics that I talked about tonight, I'm going to reiterate those topics in future talks because it's so important that people know this information.
Right.
I don't want to sound like a broken record. I don't want you guys to think that I'm just repeating stuff just to repeat it, but it's so vitally important that this information has to be repeated, and it has to be repeated by you guys too, so that it spreads like confetti over the entire planet, so that we can reconnect our people back to where they need to, back to the earth. But in terms of insomnia, if you know anybody that has any type of insomnia, this is guaranteed to eliminate any type of insomnia that they have. I read about this in a book when I was a child, and I found out about this. You guys are familiar with what they call classical music, right? Everybody knows about classical music, where you deal with different composers, like some of the composers, none of Schumann and different classical music composers. But there's a type of music that's similar to classical that they call Baroque music, Baroque, Baroque music. Baroque music was produced by composers like Telemann, Handel, Bach, Corelli, Corelli, Telemann, Telemann, I think it is, Bach, Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach, and also Vivaldi, Vivaldi, Vivaldi. Those types of composers were a part of that era of music that they call Baroque music. And if you study Baroque music, you'll know that Baroque has different movements, different speeds, different tempos. Like you have the largo movements, which are the slowest. Well, not the slowest, but the slow movements. You have the larghetto. You have the adagio. That's slow too. You have the allegro or the allegretto. Those are the faster movements. Very, very ornamented music-wise, very musical. Keep in mind that music, all of those innovations that they got in Europe that they say came from Europe or they say is indigenous to Europe actually came from the damn Moors, the black Moors. And if you watch different movies, they call people Moors all the time, like I talked about in the last video that I did, where they're constantly referring to Martin Lawrence in one of his movies as Moor. Hey, Moor. Just like they would say, hey, nigger. They constantly refer to him as a Moor.
Wow.
Moor this, Moor that. Will Smith was in the movie, hey, Moor, but nobody caught it. They're telling you your history, but they're telling you in their movies, but they're not telling you outright because they know that you won't do the research, and they know they could put it right in your face because you don't read anything. A lot of us don't. But anyway, these composers that they attribute this music to, and even Beethoven was known to be a black man. You do the research on that. That's a fact. You can do the research on Beethoven. Even if you go to Europe, there's a place in Europe. I saw a brother go to Europe, and they had an image of William Shakespeare, much darker than the William Shakespeare we see in the history books, right? Very dark, like he was black. But keep in mind, there was a strong Moorish or black influence that actually influenced Europe and conquered Europe for 700 years. They went there, in the 700s, and they left in 1492. You know, so but anyway, this music, the Baroque music, this guy Vivaldi composed a composition for a king because the king had trouble sleeping, and the name of the composition was called the Goldberg Variations. The Goldberg Variations. If you go to any music store, which you can't go to now because a lot of them are closed, maybe some of them are open depending on where you are in the country. Go to a music store and you go to the music section where you look for the classical music or Baroque music, and you look for people like Corelli, Vivaldi, Handel, Bach. And when you get that music, you want to make sure that if you have a problem sleeping, you get the part of that music that's the largo movements, because the largo movements are specifically synchronized to the beat of the human heart. Wow. And anything that's synchronized to the beat of the human heart will knock you out, guaranteed. I guarantee you, every person I've done that with, they've never had a trouble going to sleep, ever. Amazing. And I've done this for years. So I had my friend in college, when I found out about this, I had him record the Goldberg Variations and also some other Baroque music. And I had him to record only the largo movements. So he recorded a long tape of just the largo, the slow movements, the roughly 60 beats per minute. And that will knock you out, guaranteed.
Amazing.
So if anybody wants to try that, trust me, it works. I've done it. I've used it all I never have trouble sleeping, but whenever I do, on occasion, I put that on and I'm knocked out. The next thing I know is I'm waking up from the next morning. It really works. And you don't need to take those stupid sleeping pills. All these simple remedies are available, and they don't want you to know about it. But we'll talk in detail about more of this stuff. Yes. And I'll give you guys a lot more because I have a whole lot more to give you.
Wow.
So.
Wow. Mine is blown. I'm gonna maybe dream some good dreams, good imagination. It's crazy, but I'm high right now. I do feel the fatigue. I had a long day.
Dr. York, she mentioned Dr. York. I'm a student of Dr. York. I talk all about Dr. York. I have not all of his books, but you listen to Nazi Germany and the Polarity War. And the information that Dr. York put out, just to be clear, the information that he put out years ago was religious information for religious-minded people, that was designed to elevate us to a higher level. The religion was the cloak. It was never the end result. It was just a pit stop. Because he always said, and he always gave a disclaimer when he did his teachings, I came giving you what you wanted so that you could eventually learn to accept what I came to give. Religion was not the end, was not what he taught. And some people were asking, well, why did he set up Islam and then he dismantled Islam? Why did he pivot from that? Because like I mentioned earlier, this universe is all about change. And if we are replicas of the universe, and we are, then we're supposed to embody change. We're supposed to embody transformation. We're supposed to embody transmutation. We're not supposed to be static. So that's a dumb question. And if the person would follow his teachings, they would know that. And a lot of Negroes were mad because they just wanted to be Muslims, and they wanted to lord over women, and they wanted to have multiple wives, even though they didn't have no damn money to afford multiple wives. It was just a sex thing. And they just wanted to be superior to women. And when he told us that women were here before us, them niggas left. Most of them left. They were just dead weight anyway. Don't need them. We need another breed of man that will respect women and put her back in her rightful place and put her back on the throne, basically, so we can get out of this mess, because we can't do it without her.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what I have to say about Dr. York. He was a continuation of Elijah Muhammad. Elijah Muhammad told us, well, he said that this Quran was going to give way to a higher book, and that this information would expire, which it has. The religion has expired. We used to argue with these goofy Negroes that were so stuck on Islam and stuck on Christianity. We don't argue with them anymore. We've already dismantled all of their arguments. Now this is time for us to build and to move forward and to move to the next paradigm. Because he'd always told us that if in order for us to move to the next level, from mortality to immortality, is to put aside dumb restrictions, put aside Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. And only then can we move to the next level. Those things are nothing but traps and soul traps. So that's what I have to say for now.
Wow. Beautifully said, brother.
And the information that he put out is much higher than what that baby information that he put out. Yes, it was profound, but it's still baby information compared to what he's put out now.
So much to learn.
That was for infants. Yep. That was for infants. He even said it was garbage. As profound as that information was, it was garbage. He was assigned to teach, and look at all the damn books he wrote. He wrote over 1,000 books in the Book of Guinness World Records back in the 80s, I think it was. And he said that's when I was writing stuff that was not even important. This information is what's important. This quantum physics type of information, that's what's important. And you guys are going to get it. If you know me, or if you have any association with me, you're going to get that information. And if you want to hear some of it, just a little bit, go listen to Nazi Germany and the Polarity War. Listen to When Sheroes Ruled the World, a 5-part series where I proved that women were on the planet before men, and have the latent ability to reproduce on their own. Now, Negroes are afraid, I'm going to lose my woman. Well, a lot of the people that are our age and younger and even older, they're not qualified to do that. That's going to be for the younger generation. That's going to be for the millennials and post-millennials. So.
Wow.
Well, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed it.
We surely have.
I hope more people hear this video. Yeah. What we need is mindful. We got men, and to know that there's people, you say there's a lot of people on this chat, just to know that they're on the chat listening to this at this time of night when they could be doing so many other things. They could be in a strip club.
Right.
Why would you want to waste your money in a damn strip club onto women that are sleeping with other men, and that's not fun.
All kind of strange energies.
I never liked that. I went to a strip club once when I was in my 20s. I'm like, this is it?
I know.
Why would I want to give her my hard-earned money? Number one, she's not mine. Number two, she belongs to everybody else. I'm not walking out. I know guys that go in there and spend $500.
Yeah. I used to drive around. I used to drive many of them around, And it happened because when I was driving my van in New York City, transportation wise, dollar van wise, there's a young lady who I grew up with, but she was a couple years younger than me, and she needed to go to New Jersey, but she didn't want to pay anybody. And these cab drivers were a little slimy when they see what you do as a stripper. So I said, okay, I'm not doing anything. It was not that kind of connection between me and her. I looked at her like a younger sister or whatever. And so when we got out there into I forgot what the name of the spot was, but it was a long time ago. This is back in the early 90s, mid 90s. And so I waited for her. She said, could you wait? I'll pay you, you know. And of course she danced, but she did some other things back there. She made a lot of money. And I had to come inside to take a leak. And I remember it was a winter time. And I went in, took the leak. And then some other girls were like, oh, you know, is he with you? Is he with you? You going back to New York? Because some lived in Brooklyn, some lived in the Bronx, some lived in Manhattan. And lo and behold, here I am with the original one with 6 other, you know, women who just finished making their money. And then they're like, well, you know, she's like, no, he's trustworthy. He's not like that, whatever. They're like, what? I got to use you. So there's another chapter in my book when I write it. Very interesting. I learned a lot. I've seen a lot. People are crazy. I'll say that much. I don't understand men who, and it's something they do all the time. You know what I mean? I've noticed that, and I've been in parties with the police, you know, and they're doing all kind of things. Some in uniform. I mean, I can tell you a whole world of that. You know, for about good 2.5, 3 years overlapping while I did other things. That wasn't. I mean, it paid well. That's the only reason why I wasn't interested in anything. As a matter of fact, I befriended some of them because they looked at me like an uncle type. Like, Lance, I got a real emotional problem. Can we hang out? I want to talk about this. And dudes out there were like, oh, man, you hang around them. Man, you, what are you, their pimp? I'm like, no, it's not like that. Strange relationship, but it was not like that. Even to the point where we went to a party in the Bronx. I'll tell you this one before we sign off. I went to a party in the Bronx, and I had my van. It was 4 young ladies, and we were all cool with each other. At this point, I helped some of them with moving jobs or pick me up at the supermarket. I got all my, you know, my mama, my grandmama. We all went shopping. We had regular relationships, but I knew their other side, even when some of their family didn't know, right? So here we go to the Bronx, and they were like, you know, Lance, how do you feel being around all these cops? Because they knew what happened with me with cops. I said, I ain't got no problem with it. I'm going in there with you. I don't have to be a bodyguard because I was like a part-time bodyguard too with them. But the funny thing was, there was one guy who was there who lived in my neighborhood, and he was, you know, not in uniform, but he was shocked. He said, what are you doing here, man? I said, no, what are you doing here? I said, no, I'm driving them. I'm driving them here, and I'm staying with them. And what they asked me to do, they said, because he asked me, what are you up here pimping? I said, no. All of a sudden, one of the young ladies brought me over a wad of money and said, and whispered in my ear, this is my pocket. That back pocket on the right side is so-and-so, and then so-and-so, so-and-so. So they kept bringing me money, and I kept shoving it in my pockets. Exactly. They were like, I'm like, no. And I look like a humble pimp too, because I'm like, nah, man, it's not like that. I just drive them here. I look out for them. And it's like, you're telling me this, and yet they're handing you all of this money. I said, this is not my money. I'm just, because he was like a neighbor, you know, 2 blocks away. But I'm like, yo, don't put that out there. He said, I ain't going to put nothing out there, but you a pimp. I said, no, man, that's the lowest of low. I felt bad, man, because I was like, for the next 3-4 years I saw him, yo, I'm not a pimp, right? He said, yeah, right. And I really felt bad because I don't think too highly of pimps. You know what I mean?
No.
Oh, man.
They're parasites. Yeah. Yeah, they're parasites.
Yeah. So, I didn't want to be associated with that.
No, me neither. But I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to get me some sleep.
Yes. Exactly.
And I don't sleep much anyway, but I need something tonight, though. Yeah, I got more stuff for y'all, though. Yeah, I got a lot more.
Doing the show, you know, with Quaco earlier, that went over 4 hours. This one here is like 3:14. You know, 3 hours and 14 minutes. I mean, it just doesn't have the time. It's jam packed with information and passion and learning and, you know, fellowshipping. But I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied with today. You know?
Yeah, you guys get on my talks. You're gonna have I would recommend having a pen and paper because I've learned a lot of things. I don't know everything, but I've learned a lot of things. beneficial things for my people, and the things that I know that are beneficial, I want you guys to know, so we can keep it moving and keep it going and keep progressing.
Exactly.
Upward. You know.
Exactly.
Upward and into outwardly and upwardly and into the cosmos and beyond.
Beautiful.
So much gratitude to the people of the planet Earth, and hope to talk to you guys next time.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, we'll play a little music on the way
My
out.
pleasure, brother. I really appreciate it.
Oh man, time well spent. Time well spent. Time well spent. Much
That's
love,
good, brother. You have a good night.
Yes,
get those books. Get those books. I got those books for you.
Yes.
Yeah. All right now.
Okay.
You guys have a good night.
Okay. Peace out.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye. All right. All right. Peace.
Bye-bye. Wow. Just want to thank you everybody for hanging in there. I'm feeling a little bit of fatigue, but it's a sweet fatigue because, like I said earlier, I like to fight fatigue, and I guess that came from going to different jobs with my father because he had his own business, and when he wanted to finish up a job, refinishing floors and stuff, he would stay up a little extra late. Like, listen, we can come back tomorrow for 2 hours. We can knock this out. Let's knock it out. And we'd be tired. You know what I mean? And we're laughing and telling jokes. And it was a sweet time for me. So I guess that's where I get this from. It reminds me of that. But I'm really interested in doing the UFO show and all things around that. And, let's work that out. And any other topics that you're interested in that you want to be on the show with, and we bring other people and chop up a topic and do a little research and, bring it around. Let's do it. You know what I mean? I'm gonna play a little music on the way out, so we can wind down and everything like that. And it's been a wonderful night. And I say thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. All right. And we're going to come back tomorrow. Peace.
I lost my love. They gonna move to the groove. I noticed I lost my love. They gonna move to the groove. I noticed I lost my love.
That's what I'm saying.
Everybody's in fear, though.
That's what I'm saying. So it's strictly a place of fear that we're operating from. And the fact is that we're not gonna get out of that place. And even sometimes when I speak, and some people will look at me and say, "Man, you gotta be careful of what you say." And I tell people, please do not tell me to be careful in what I have to say. I am not afraid to speak. I am not afraid because, look, I am here to do work. The fact is that when I go to my job, I don't just stand there and look at my job and hoping that it get done in some other way. So the job that I'm here to do, I am doing. I don't want anybody to sit and say, "Oh man, I'm worried about this." Don't worry about me. I don't want people to go around and worry, when is white supremacy going to get him? These are the things that they want you to think. These are the places that they want to put you in.
Paralyzes.
So what I'm saying is, that's why we don't do nothing. We see our sisters being beaten down in the street as strong black men, and we stand here and we look, and all we can do is take up our phone and videotape it. And what happened after that? You see what I'm saying? We see these things, and yet we are paralyzed by them. But the fact is that here's where the danger comes in. The danger comes in because I will look at you, okay? Give you a scenario. Here's a white guy over here. He's got a lot of food, even food that he's just wasting. And you have a gun, but you ain't going over there to rob him. But here is it that me or you who live right next to him, who hardly can find enough to eat and feed the family, that's who he's coming to kill. So what does that say to you now? You see, this is so much self-hate. It is so much self-hate that is within you or me that is going to destroy the other person who look like you or me. And the food, all the food is over there. But you won't cross that line to go and get the food that you need. You're gonna cross the line to take away what this other person hardly even have. Because you hate yourself so much that you figure if you destroy yourself, then it's good for I don't have to worry about this God that's living over there, because the God ain't gonna give me no food, and if you don't volunteer to give me no food, I'm not gonna go over there to take it. That's what I'm saying. So that's the place that we live. That's the place that we live. And so we have to stop feeding into this narrative where we are living in such fear that when a brother starts to speak truth to power, we're ready to say, "Oh man, hush, hush, hush. I don't want the prisoner to come in and get you next or to get me. So be quiet, see, just don't say anything. Be careful what you say." And that's where we live. That's a very dangerous place to live. It is. But the fact is that we can't see that because we're so caught up. We're so caught up, and we're hoping that we just wake up one day and everything magically change. And that is the thing where all of our people, a great deal of our people, is waiting for this magical person to come out of the sky and fix everything for them. That's what I'm saying. It is no magical person that is going to fix it for you. When you have a problem in your house, you must be the one to fix it. You see, what I'm saying is, I'm dealing from a place of logic. I'm not dealing from a place of imagination. Because a lot of us, we're dealing from a place of imagination. And that's where the problem comes in.
Why are we called Negroes? Why are we deaf, dumb, and blind? Why is everybody making progress, yet we seem to be lagging so far behind? Why are we mistreated? Why are we in this condition, stripped of our name, our language, our culture, our God, and our religion? Here in America, all of our religious training has been gotten by the preacher. He has told us of a heaven way up in the sky that we can't enjoy now, but rather after we die. But all of the years that we're living, for us there's nothing but hell, pain, torture, and misgiving. Yet the Bible speaks of a heaven filled with material luxury, which the white man and the preacher has right here, so we see. So my friend, take it for what it's worth. Your heaven and your hell is right here on this earth. So let's check back into history, which rewards all research and tells us plainly that before the white man gained entry to the East, he was living in the caves of Europe, a ravenous beast, eating juniper roots and eating flesh raw, till God sent Moses to civilize him and teach him the law. Then, following Marco Polo, an explorer, he gained entry into Asia and Africa. From China, he took silk and gunpowder. From India, he took jute, manganese, and rubber. He raped Africa of her diamonds and her gold. From the Mideast, he took barrels of oil untold, raping, robbing, and murdering everything in his path. The whole black world has tasted of the white man's wrath. So, my friend, it's not hard to tell. A white man's heaven is a black man's hell. America, we were living in the East. By the Nile River, we were living in luxury, enjoying freedom, justice, and equality. We wore silken robes, slippers of gold. We were the wealthiest and the wisest people, I'm told. Now we are the poorest of the poor. Nobody wants us at their door. So, my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven is black man hell. white man came to America, he told the Indian, I am your white brother. He said, red man, I'll treat you the best. Yet and still he pushed the Indian further west with his white woman and firewater. Tricks and lies, he stole America. The original owner of this nation is cooped up on a reservation. So my friend, it's easy to tell, white man heaven, black man hell. He needed someone to work the land, his back was too weak. He needed you, black man, so he commissioned Sir John Hawkins to commit the world's most grievous sin, to take a man who's born to be free and bring him down to slavery, to sell a man as merchandise, on his body put a price. Oh, my friend, it's easy to tell, white man heaven is a black man hell.
Great show tonight. Good night, everybody. More tomorrow. You know it. I love you all. Peace.